We kind of getting started here, Aaron.
Yeah, man.
So the first thing I want to say is, man, thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to have you introduce yourself, to everybody, and kind of just explain a little bit about what you do.
Okay, my name's Aaron Madsen. I'm a naturopathic doctor. So, and I like to make it a lifestyle. I kind of grew up this way, just playing sports and trying to eat interesting things, tasty things.
Yeah, I hear that.
Cook,
Yeah.
My dad is a medical doctor, so I kind of grew up around that with the, protein shakes and bars and, equipment and things, and did plenty of school sports. A lot of people do that. And trying to, you kind of get it in your blood that you want to help people do what you do. And maybe see little areas in their life that they could clean up or, simplify what they do to make it
especially
part of their life, because that's what I do.
Yeah. So when it comes to health, so you grew up with a dad who's a doctor.
Yep.
But not just like a doctor that just diagnoses and writes prescriptions, but one that likes to get down to the brass facts.
Yeah. What he was one of the first members of the American Society of Bariatric Physicians, and those guys can go one of two routes. A lot of surgeries happen. Some people are so big, there's so many overweight around, they end up in surgery. But my dad's approach and what I agreed with through the years, like, why can't we help them lose the weight and maybe help them avoid the surgery? So there's that angle. Some people are like, they say, if I don't lose the weight, I'm heading for surgery.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bad fallout from that. It's not just, without its bumps. So we were always on the preventive side.
I love it.
And,
yes.
that meant once we're there, can we stay there? Because a lot of people yo-yo diet.
The thing about the effort it takes to get somewhere, right? How hard it is to lose weight and get to let's call it a comfortable size. Mm-hmm. Staying there is easier. Once you've done the work to get there, then now it's just a maintenance, right? And if you just got to keep.
It can be. It's interesting because. You try to paint a picture of if we can design a program or if we can look at it as something that if you do it right, you may only have to do it once. Mm. And if you give it a good maybe years, really implement slow changes that your brain can adopt and you just start to create habits, and it can go for better or worse. You can have a bad habit that's hard to break or good habits that are hard to break. And that's,
I have a bad habit.
Well, I mean,
but I have this under control.
Well, it's all relative. I mean, because you say a lot of people have one or two things they may be well advised to put aside, but it's like, well, geez, I do 8 other things really well. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And there is math in the body and in your routine. It's like it's kind of a math game in your own physical makeup. It's like, okay. Am I basically aging? Am I recovering faster than I'm aging? Every day it's like a little bit of breakdown, a little bit of rebuild. A little bit of breakdown, a little bit of rebuild. Like kids have a lot more rebuild than breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least there's a lot more slack. Even if they're, doing all kinds of crazy things, they can get away with it. They don't see it because they're still in the black. They have a lot of house money to play with, either genetically or just physiologically. They bounce right back. We all know that.
Right.
But as we get older, our margin for error hits the wall. We're still up against it we're breaking down just by getting up. We're kind of slowly aging. And then if we don't have the context, the knowledge to how we can maybe slow that down with a better lifestyle and habits, we don't, next thing we know, we're aging a lot faster than we're rebuilding.
Right.
We're all doing a little bit of rebuilding, but nature has it so we're automatically kind of breaking down if we're not careful. So we got to sort of be mindful of what's what in our habit, inventory, and try to say, okay, a little less of this would be good, a little more of this would be good. For example, a little better sleep would be good, and a little less, sitting would be good. A little more time outside would be great.
Well, time outside is very important because vitamin D.
Yeah.
Vitamin D is the one vitamin that's so important the body actually has to produce it.
Yeah, I mean, we have to go outside to have the cholesterol that's from our food that's kind of waiting to be converted by sunlight. It's in the skin, ready to be converted, and the sun hits it and goes, turns it into vitamin D. Our kidneys are involved in that process. But yeah, it's like you go outside and a lot of things turn into other things based on what's kind of waiting in the skin from eating it.
Well, doesn't it only make sense that, like, I don't want to compare us to plants, but plants can only live, most plants can only live outside in the sunlight, right?
Yeah. Well,
and aren't we creatures that have, like, yeah, we live in homes now, but for I don't know how many thousands of years human beings have been around, how big our evolution line is compared to where we're at in the last whatever, like, we were outside. At least 6 to 8 hours a day in sunlight, or even with cloud cover, we're still at least outside. And
it's such a difference. I mean, it's always interesting when it comes to like evolution. 1,000 years or 10,000 years isn't that long of a time, you know?
No, it's not.
It's a lot of our lifetimes, you know, but yet a lot of the changes that we see with like our sedentary lifestyle or eating a lot of, agricultural based things, processed things, plant based things. That's recent. That's probably like 10,000 years or more recent. Like the so-called agrarian, like agricultural lifestyle. That's more versus ancient man.
Yeah.
More, carnivore, like outside catching prey.
Yeah.
Living off the land. And like you say, naturally outside, touching the ground, sleeping on the ground.
Yeah.
Less clothing.
Well, that's very important because a lot of people don't realize that there's electricity in the body. Like, when you walk around in a carpet, you touch something, you get shocked. Like that shock. You produce that electricity. And that's your body way of grounding when it has an opportunity to, right?
That's
but
right.
it has to, it doesn't, like, you don't notice it until it's like consolidated to one area. Like if you take an outlet, it's 110 volts, and you plug something in that can withstand that, it plugs right in, charges up electricity, makes it move, makes it work. If you take a small thin wire and stick it in there, it'll melt it. It'll just can't handle it, right? But which is funny that I've been reading and learning about grounding, and not just like, I'm going to, I get the mat from you where I rest my feet on and plug it into the outlet, and you can test the outlet, make sure it works. There's a ground you plug it into. Yeah. That goes to the earth. Yeah. It's wild. Yeah. And your body has an electronic charge. Oh yeah. And it is relevant to the earth. It's like it's the earth. You need the earth for that to happen. Like if you just took you and put you in outer space, your body wouldn't do things that it is meant to do because it's not getting that charge release, kind of like regeneration. So wearing rubber shoes is still not grounding.
That's right. It's shielding you from it. Yeah, we need to be in touch with it to get it. So again, like the modern diet, the modern, the conveniences that we're glad to have, on the one hand, they do compromise us a little bit and leave us in need of a little bit more returning to ancient ways to actually be healthier, actually slow down the aging process. And grounding's one of them.
Grounding's one of them. Also, grounding, being in water, natural bodies of water is also grounding because it's a current.
It makes it even more. So in other words, like walking on this dry sand is great. Walking on the wet sand, even better. Yep. Quicker, more complete grounding. Yeah. It just means energy or a collection of electrons. That's really what light from the sun is just like a bunch of little individual electrons stacked into beams, They call them photons, and they get trapped in the ground. They're always there. Mm-hmm. That's just like a blessing of how the planet's set up. Or like if lightning struck, that's happening all the time. That's a sink of energy.
That's right.
Always in the ground.
That's right. The lightning is able to strike the earth because it can make that connection. The consolidation of the storm in the sky, and then the energy has to boom to the earth. The earth receives it, and it's there.
It's a huge
and that's how the earth core even works. The electromagnetic field within the earth. Like, I'm not trying to like act like I know what I'm talking about, but as someone who understands electricity and a general contractor, there is a breaker panel. Yeah. You go and turn your breakers on and off. There is a neutral wire, a hot wire where the juice comes in, and then there's a ground. Yes. And the ground literally goes into a rod into the earth. And I'll take it a step further. When we build foundations, concrete foundations, the rebar in there, we have what's called a euphor ground. This is a piece of steel, rebar, that's a certain length, goes into the earth. Then a bonding wire connects to that, so that like all electricity, like if you're in the, let's say you're in a bathtub and it got electrified because of the pipes are metal, copper, that would go through the ground.
Yeah.
The electricity would get grounded.
Like
Right?
redirect it.
And then another thing is like a source of electricity, like an outlet. What trips a breaker is if like the ebb and flow gets off, or it notices something funky, it'll trip the breaker, and that's to help prevent a fire,
safety
or
mechanism.
Safety. Yeah.
Well, that's just it. And people, if we can realize, well, there's lots of things to kind of get familiar with, but one of the big ones is the body itself and all the trillions of cells in there. Each one is like a little battery. So we all are familiar with like our devices, our phones, everything. Mm-hmm. They run on, or any appliance, Our bodies are the same way. They run out of juice too, We require constant renewal of energy, and we'll just say our lifestyle depletes it,
Yeah.
One big one is like, sugary things. They basically run down our fuel supply.
Yeah.
Because they're actually, I'll only say, they're opposite charge of what the juice from the earth is.
Wow.
So, if you want to get real tired, real sick, you'll notice when you're eating, junk food or snacks or road tripping, there's a reason for that. You get sick a little easier.
Or like breads and pastas and flour, anything flour.
They run down the levels.
I was reading about how it actually, one thing that helps give your body energy is carbohydrates, but too much of it actually robs your body of energy.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's like the cells can handle so much. We don't need a whole lot of sugar. We technically don't need any added sugar. The body's able to make sugar
out of protein,
fat,
and carb. Yeah.
And so it's like if we didn't have access to food for a month, we can go quite a long time without eating, and we can have a constant sugar supply, glucose supply, because the hormones are set up, especially cortisol, this major stress hormone. Mm-hmm. It goes and tells the liver, hey, the brain says there's stress out there. We need you to break down some of our reserves into sugar. Mm-hmm. And you can either eat a donut, which you don't need to do, because we don't need to add. We're going to make the sugar from stores of protein. So when we're stressed, as you can tell, we get a little sicker, we get a little more tired. We're breaking down by design. That's how we deal with stress, is kind of use our reserves. It's like taking your chairs and using them as firewood, because there's not, it's like you're living on your essentials.
Oh, I believe me, I know that. And Aaron, I you know me, I've been coming to you a long time. I don't know how many years I've known you, and I have gone through health problems that I didn't realize. Like we were talking like years ago, that I didn't realize that was my lack of nutrition.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay to at one point in my life, and you can laugh now, and I'm glad I haven't any detriment from it. But I came from a mentality where I lived off of beer, and pizza, and carbs, and but not even like real meat. I wasn't even eating like I eat a lot of red meat. All right, I'm not saying that like it's for everyone, but when I eat a lot of red meat, I feel better than when I was eating just carbs and some vegetables. Even to this day, I try to incorporate a diet that has everything. I eat broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, sweet potatoes are my thing. Dude, I eat a sweet potato, I feel good forever. Like Josh Lerner told me that you could eat sweet potatoes and a protein, and you would get every single vitamin, mineral, nutrient that the earth can provide from a sweet potato. So many. And anyways, as I was saying that, dude, I had to fucking learn about food, and how important it is. Which Sarah and I, we dove deep, because I was bad, man. I was a mess. I wasn't eating salt because I was afraid that salt was like hurting my heart. And then I learned that
you don't know what to think. Yeah. There's so many.
But like the iodized table salt is not the salt you want. But like sea salt, pink Himalayan sea salt is like.
Yeah.
Gets rid of headaches.
Yeah.
Stabilizes your blood sugar.
Yeah.
Like, has a mineral content that's also beneficial. Like,
well, yeah,
dude.
It's like a good comparison I always do is you take dairy that you'd see in the store, and it's clearly been pasteurized, so it's been heated and spun and really shook. You could say that the value that it once had raw is gone. And so and part of that makes it hard for people who aren't really adapted to drink it. So there's a lot of, it's not very suitable, especially if a lot of people, it doesn't agree with their GI tract. They don't have enough of the enzyme to break it down.
Which is an intolerance, like a lactose intolerance.
Yeah, it's like it starts to hit it, and it gives you a bunch of protein, and you have an inability to break it down, and that's going to just cause the symptoms we always hear about.
But the inability to break it down is partially because of how tampered with is.
Yeah,
right?
so we'll just say like how it used to be, like raw milk or untreated. It has all the things, the enzymes
in it already.
So
it almost breaks down in you with it.
Yeah, and so let's say if you don't have something in your diet for a long time, eventually your body sort of evolves away from it. Like, I'm not going to dedicate resources to break something down that you're never eating. It conserves energy.
Yeah.
And then you're like all of a sudden reintroduce it and say, hey, wait a minute, I thought you were showing me that we didn't need to do this anymore. I was using those proteins to build other enzymes, for example.
So that touches on probiotics.
Yeah, that could be the most important aspect of health overall, because just by the sheer number, not by weight, but by number, you could basically say we are part of a bacterial or a microbial, which is, fungi, viruses, parasites, the mushrooms and everything. We're in their world. We're part of their world type of thing. So we have basically more bacteria, good and bad, in our systems, our gut, our different membranes, eyes, ears, nose, down below, a lot of different places, kind of native collections of bacteria that live there, that thrive there. And without them, we wouldn't last very long on this planet. So, yeah, the right and a lot of the things we do make those ratios not so good. Like friendly bacteria, they don't like sugar very well. The yeasts and the not so healthy bacteria thrive on sugar, and really, start to multiply and crowd out the ones that really do us good.
So what you're saying is sugar will feed bad things.
Yeah.
And starve good things.
Yeah, so like when you hear about, say, sauerkraut or kimchi or like kefir, like a Greek yogurt or something like that, the cultures in there and the fiber of the cabbage or whatever, they would be what a good bacteria would probably like to eat. And the fact that it's missing from most people's diets, but sugar's plentiful.
No shit.
Means that they're feeding all kinds of things that love sugar. So like yeast, like people with yeast infections, or you see it in their mouth or on their folds or whatever, or all kinds of trouble with just any area of the body.
Yeah.
If you feed the wrong kind, you're going to get an overgrowth of those type of unpleasant things, or like a foodborne illness, like an E. coli, or there's names of bacterial families that you hear about. The bottom line is we really need good bacteria. So probiotics, that's the definition, like life-giving bacteria. I like to try to get them just a bite or two a day of like a fermented, if you can handle it. It might be something you have to...
Kombucha.
Like kombucha,
Okay.
Maybe if it's not too sweet, sometimes it's a little
or
too
maybe
sugary.
even a fruit that's like halfway.
Yeah, I mean, you could pickle anything. You could pickle, like pickled onions are delicious, or a classic pickled cucumber, pickles.
Pineapple.
Try not to make it too sweet.
Yeah.
Everybody knows sauerkraut.
Gotcha.
A lot of people like kimchi,
Wow. Jeez.
And that can really help shift the balance from, we'll just say there's hundreds of species. It's mind-boggling. I mean, the exact count, certainly not, who knows, but there's a lot more bacterial cells than cells of our body. Maybe 10 times more.
Wow. So you're saying there's more bacterial cells
in our gut, especially
per pound for pound than cells.
Yeah, like I've heard stuff like it might be, say, like a size of a 5-pound blob, like a football amount of bacteria. But say a guy, a guy weighs like 180 pounds, 5 pounds of bacteria or something like that, along those lines.
Gotcha.
Maybe size dependent.
Yeah.
And people have different ratios depending on where they live, their diet, and so on. But it's interesting.
Can I touch on you mentioned something about like fermented? Is it? I believe this but let me just ask your opinion. Evolution.
Yeah.
Human beings pre whatever refrigerators and stoves in the house. Like, I bet we ate more stuff that was half rotten than like fresh off the fucking shelf. If there was even a shelf to receive it from. Am I wrong? I mean,
No, well, you're absolutely right. You had to eat what was in season, of course. You know, it's only locally grown. It was hard to transport much, and there wasn't.
Yeah,
really
you're not getting shit from Mexico that easily,
right?
right?
Like nothing in the way of like refrigeration techniques.
Avocados did not exist in Maine.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, guys.
And you know, something off season halfway across the world or whatever. That's a luxury, and with it, the price of what did they have to do to it
to get it there?
You know, with pesticides,
to preserve
fungicides,
it. Yeah.
herbicides, and then you know, boy, a lot of spraying going on, and we end up whatever that did to bugs and things is going to do to our insides once we eat it, type of thing. If it was too rough for them to handle, and it was, because that's, you know, they wanted to be perfect, look perfect on the shelf.
Yeah,
it's not going to be so friendly in your gut.
Yeah,
you know, we'll just say that.
Scary.
A lot of issues with that, but yeah, anciently, yeah, they ate
even rotten meat.
Well, sure, but I mean, they were going out and killing their own stuff.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So they probably got the fresh stuff, you know?
Okay, so
maybe they made good use of it.
Their fresh stuff was like animals.
Well, and a lot of, you know, natural curing, like salt.
Salt curing.
The nearest thing to like refrigeration thousands of years ago, even to like the last couple hundred years.
Yeah, well, they still do salt curing to this day.
Yeah.
And you can go to places in the United States where salt curing is like, you can't even get what they do at the store.
Right.
You know, like you could actually eat stuff that is what some people couldn't eat raw.
Yeah.
Raw, well, because they know how to do it, prep it right?
Well, and exactly, it's like it's almost impossible to find like raw milk and
right.
Other things. We'll just say food sources naturally had like the full complement of enzymes, probiotics, things to allow the consumer to use them up and not get a violent reaction to them, you know. Right. And if you had it, you would have to adapt and either avoid it. Same thing today, like there's so many allergies and things. It's
yeah. I'm allergic to peanuts.
Yeah.
But I also know peanuts are man-made.
And they're a plant.
They're a plant. Okay, yeah. Which is, all plants are borderline poisonous. It's a defense mechanism.
Yep, you got it.
Some more than others.
It's a little rough.
Like if you walk out in the earth, you drop somebody in the middle of somewhere in the earth and there's vegetation around, about 98% of it you can't eat.
Yeah, it could be a unsettling discovery. Like if you just randomly go and drop in and hope to eat indiscriminately whatever you want. Especially, you know, we'll take, identifying mushrooms or whatever. There's all kinds of endless array of things you would want to know depending on where you're going. And even then it'd be like, well, I better soak, or like a sprout. And almost like today, like if I'm going to eat, almonds or something, you're going to want to, put them in water overnight, maybe sprout them or any kind of seed. And number one, it would make it easier to eat. But number two, if you were to do it, the nutrition from it would be a lot more available to your body.
I see. Well, I'm allergic to almonds, so I don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. But
if you drop me in a field and there's peanuts and almonds, I'm dead anyways.
Well, that's just it. You said it, because plants are designed to adapt and survive. So they get eaten over and over, and animals scat them out so they can grow the next generation over and over. And the nutrients inside were preserved for that next generation. The plant needs the nutrients for their next generation.
So what about meat? I don't know a meat that I can't eat. Maybe some that's raw I can't eat.
I mean, the case could be, I would say, hopefully it's, wild and raised properly. That's no guarantee in today's market with mass production and the conditions in like a big feedlot.
Well, yeah, we have a lot of people to feed. We got to make it happen, yeah.
But if the conditions are right, out wilding, grass-fed and finished, all those things, that take great care. There's a very small operation. It goes to the stress of the conditions of that animal. Just like, it's going to be a lot better lifespan for the people eating it, for the product they're getting. Like the meat is better, the nutrient profile is better because that animal was under less stress during its life. Oh, you could say that versus like 1,000 head at a big giant feedlot, no room to roam, fed antibiotics,
Yeah.
hormones, corn, gum wrappers.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Gum wrappers, goddamn.
Just all kinds of things like, ground up, who knows what, just to get them to market quick. That happens.
Can you say it's fair to agree that in order to feed the population that is available, obviously there has to be mass production, pesticides, this, that, and the other. However, we haven't even evolved to be able to eat what it takes to keep everyone fed, right?
The thing is, too, to remember is the conditions that modern agriculture is working under are very depleted, like soil.
That's
depletion.
right, soil depletion. That's scary.
So I mean, take for example an apple or any product you would eat today. You could say, well, it might take 10 to equal the one you would eat in the 50s or something. The same product.
Right,
because
an
of the
apple
soil.
in the 50s had a different ratio than an apple now because
Yeah, well, think about like what makes it into its flesh, its skin, and then we eat that and get the benefits. If they're there, they might have been there 50 years ago, and now they're not. So to get the same amount we did then, the brain still hopes we can acquire that same amount from previous.
because we still haven't evolved yet.
Yeah, we still have the same caveman genes. We still have the same genes as the carnivore cavemen, and we're living, sitting on the couch eating almonds and apples that weren't raised in the soil to give them the kind of nutrient payload. And if they do have that, they were very expensive to produce.
So that's why when people eat they crave carbs, is because their body or their mind is going, hey, we're not getting enough of what we need to do the thing.
Yeah.
But you're giving us so much stuff that's going to make you fat that, hey, guess what? I still need my thing, so you're getting fat, dude.
No,
but
you got it. You've heard the concept of nutrient density.
Nutrient density, yes.
So, like, say if we had a plate of steak and eggs, and assuming it's all properly raised, and there's people who do that. A bite of that would probably get us. We could say if we're enjoying a good conversation, and we're chilled out, and we're just relaxing, and we're not distracted. Maybe we're full in 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 4 bites, and we're kind of slowing down. Now, contrast that to a bag of chips or a bowl of popcorn. We could fly through that, or a whole pizza in like 5 minutes and still want more.
Scary. Yeah.
And mainly because the nutrients available in that snack were so low, the brain came into that meal, whatever it is, with certain requirements. And if they didn't get met, it's still going to bother you to say, go eat more, go find more, because my levels of nutrients, our minimums were not met. Without dense food, it was. And a couple bites of what we described, you said, okay, I'm good. Almost like tapping out. The brain says, thank you.
Yep.
I won't bug you anymore for 3 or 4 or 5 hours.
I was listening to someone.
Carbs, you're doing it in a half hour because
you're
not done.
Dude, no, it's not how fast you could.
There weren't nutrients in there. It's all about the nutrients.
So many. So
that's where, the side discussion of supplementation is like, to make up for what's not there in the soil typically. I mean, it would be impractical to eat, say 10 apples. So you eat one and eat, a variety of things and try to process them well.
So when did the term apple a day will keep the doctor away come out? When was that term?
I don't know, but probably the 50s or 40s.
Exactly. Back when an apple was more
Maybe it would,
dense.
yeah. I mean, it's the classic, it gets that reputation. Maybe there's all arguments. It's not about... For me, it's like whatever somebody wants to eat, go for it. You might have to pay a price, It's your body, it's your life. All I know is there's certain nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fats, and then, macronutrients of the proteins, carbs. We need certain amounts.
Right, there's 3 things that
if we're not getting them, the brain is going to pick up on it. We can't fool it.
Yeah, you can't fool it. It's smarter than you.
Yeah, it's adapted to make us survive against our limited judgment sometimes.
So protein, fatty acids, amino acids, fatty acids.
So amino acids link together like Legos or like pearls on a necklace, and they turn into longer strings, which are eventually known as, little chains or peptides. Bigger chains, or we can just call them proteins, like big proteins. Like a steak is a big, long, convoluted, 4-dimensional ball. If you broke it all down, you could say it's like individual Scrabble tiles.
I see.
But protein's like novels in a book, lots of words together, sentences, elegant, our bodies themselves. And it's very fascinating. And so the digestive system kind of takes big complex things, and hopefully if the system's working well, and that's not a given. It breaks books into individual Scrabble tiles.
Okay.
Meat into individual amino acids.
Okay.
Which stand by kind of like a library in your cupboards, and it builds tons of products, millions of things with those tiles. And there's recipes. It's like, I need, 5,000 of them to build an enzyme. I need, to build a new muscle, I need 25,000 X's and Y's and Z's, and it knows. But we got to give it the tiles to do it.
Got to give your body the building materials to build the house.
You know best in your field with contracting.
Dude, it's fucking science. It's facts.
Well, I mean, you have a blueprint, but if you don't have the materials...
That's right.
You can't do the job.
No good without materials.
His brain's got the blueprint.
And the materials are no good without the workers.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So the brain is a genius, but it's limited by what we provide it in terms of materials.
You put a genius in a room with no books and no outlays, useless.
Yeah. It's like waiting on the phone.
But you give a genius everything he needs to go.
It turns a genius into kind of a whiny little baby. The brain's like, can you please eat something useful? Please.
Dude.
Please. We can do great things together, but I got to get some protein.
That's right. Like, hey, man, it takes a team. How can we supplement what we don't get?
Yeah.
And then how exercise is very relevant to providing the body with energy, because the body is meant to be used, not just men, but women too, right? And then, like, when you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
Right? And how your average 48-year-old doesn't fucking look like you. Not in the least bit.
Well, it's interesting because sometimes the exact opposite is happening to explain the benefits. Like, it's counterintuitive. In other words, like, a workout breaks us down.
Yeah.
Right? So we need like a little tease, like the idea of, say, we're talking cold plunge, we're talking sauna, we're talking anything that's a little stressful. We're talking holding your breath. We're talking learning how to eat spicier foods, or just introducing little stresses. And you're going to get through them. It's like any experience, like, I don't know, some daredevil thing you all had on your bucket list or whatever. Everyone's definition is different, but it didn't kill you. It did make you stronger. So let's be smart about it. But you do grow and adapt from that little stress. Next time you you take your weighted vest off, you can fly better, or you can stand 5 minutes of cold instead of 30 seconds or whatever.
It's like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's no different.
It's like jiu-jitsu doesn't lie. Like, you put in the work, you practice, your technique is better, your body adapts to what it needs to do so. It finds its strengths, what your body's good at, and Well, and that can also be very effortless and passive. Sometimes through the years I found myself, it's like, I don't know, a kid in piano lessons or anything you didn't really stick with, and you kick yourself, you're like, when am I going to get good? Man, how many, geez, I wish he's lucky. It's like, no, he put in the work. It's no such fucking thing as luck.
But somebody has, had a little more aptitude, maybe two guys with equal talent.
I won't say there's no such thing as luck. I will say some people have more opportunity than others, but you don't just get lucky and like a business falls.
No, you got it. I mean, I get, that geeks me out a lot, because these are recent as in, like, you become aware of it. It could be like 100-year-old movie, but you didn't see it, so it's brand new to you. Like, it just came on my radar to explain an old concept in a new way. But since there's tons of people who never even thought about it, it's brand new to them. Mm-hmm. Even like, I didn't know I had a nose until I looked in the mirror. Now I'm aware of it. It was always there, but I didn't know about it. And so there's little discoveries. And so I'm learning to be a little more gracious with myself, but definitely with others. Like, I've never looked down on anybody with, hey, do I have to explain this again? Like, no, because I need that grace every day. Like, will you show me how to do this? And a lot of times we're too proud to ask. We're like, oh, I don't want to be the only one. Everyone else gets it.
Which is another reason why I'm doing this. Aaron, thank you. Like, dude, another reason why I'm doing this is because I hope that there's 10 people who are too proud to ask, and not proud in a way of like they think, but just like they feel obligated. They feel bad asking because they feel like they're not allowed to ask, right?
Yes.
And I'm hoping people see this and they reach out to me.
Yep.
And they say, hey, man, I'm really interested in that guy Aaron tell me about him. I'm gonna tell you a fucking fuck ton about Aaron.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that helped save my goddamn life.
Yeah.
Right. If it wasn't for Aaron, there's a lot of things in me that'd be missing, and including B12.
Yeah.
I go get B12 shots from him twice a month. Doesn't hurt. You can't overdose on B12, right? And a lot of people don't get enough B12 because they get it from foods that are depleted of it. And B12 is very important. It helps convert food to energy too.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people feel like this. They're just B12 deficient, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well,
I recommend anybody who has never had a B12 shot, go try it. It's not like it can kill you. Go to your doctor first. Hey, can I have permission to have B12 shots? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, sorry.
No, I love it because, again, it seems so simple, but yet how many times you said this, like if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it.
That's true.
Well, it's true, though. It must be kind of high end because still the majority of people aren't aware of it. So I'm kind of in that bit. I'm rubbing my hands together because, a lot of simple concepts to you and I could help a lot of people just by being aware. And then it's like you take it and run with it at your speed.
Yes.
When you feel compelled, you run with it. When you maybe hit a wall, hopefully before then you say, I'd like to start some type of lifestyle change before I really hit the wall.
Oh yeah.
But if that's
I started that 12 fucking years ago,
Yeah.
Aaron. You're absolutely right. Like I just said, 12 years ago, I felt so terrible. I was in the hospitals wondering when I was going to die. And now here I am, I'm 42 in June.
Yeah.
I can have some whiskey cokes once in a while, but that's a fart in the wind compared to how well I take care of myself.
Well, that's what I was getting at. That's what I was getting at because if you make a conscious adult choice, you have a beverage once in a while. If you know the price, the bill it sends to your body, and you're willing to pay it,
Yep.
you can get away with it.
Yep.
It's like maybe you'd rather do that than have a plate of cookies.
100%. A plate of cookies would kill me.
Yeah, but I mean, some people might want the cookie.
Dude, Well, sure, right. I could have a couple of cookies, but if someone sat down and ate a pound of cookies, chocolate chip cookies, that the ingredients are sugar, chocolate, butter, which isn't bad for you, but
flour.
Dude, your blood sugar is going to go, and your insulin's going to go, we're fucking trying so hard to keep you from going into diabetic shock, you motherfucker. You don't even have to be diabetic to put a detriment on your body that is just, and then you're going to feel like shit.
Well, even then, it's fun to say, hey, if, paint that picture of the junk food junkie, they're that way because they don't have the nutrients yet. And we say, including things like B12, but vitamins in general, so B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, the letter ones,
Mm-hmm.
We'll just say they pretty much have a common role, some more than others, but in helping turning sugar into energy. So even if you had Coke and whiskey and a cookie and turn it into something before it just deposits on as fat, which
also,
is a backup.
Having protein in your system is very good too. A lot of people don't realize that if you eat a pancake on an empty stomach, that's way more bad for you than eating a pancake after you've had eggs and protein and fat.
Bacon.
And bacon, man. You can eat bacon too, guys. Believe it or not, you can eat bacon without dying.
Yes, you can.
Farmers have been doing it for 100,000 years.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because it reduces the speed in which your body absorbs the bad sugars.
Yeah.
The faster it absorbs the sugars, the harder it is.
Yeah, there's fun analogies. I mean, life's pictures, as a business owner, as a coach, professor, it's like you paint pictures and then it brings things alive to the student. It just always does, and me included. And I like to make new ones up or adapt old ones. One of them is blood sugar can be like a rocket. We would rather have it be a rocket that hits a ceiling pretty quick. Limits how high it can go.
Yeah.
So when you say I'm going to eat some sweets first or some starches first, it's a rocket.
It's a rocket.
If you had your proteins first, it's a low flying rocket.
That's right.
With a ceiling. And that is exactly right. So if we can do something with all this sugar, we'll just say sugar is a dominant force in the blood all day, every day for just about everybody to one degree or another, whether we eat it or not, because stress equals the production of sugar.
Right.
In case we couldn't get it.
Right.
But of course, it's everywhere.
Well, that's why people who have stress, anxiety, depression, they get these they get these swings of feelings and emotions because their blood sugar stabilization is actually causing the body to do much more, which takes away from other stuff.
Yeah. So when you hear the idea of like comfort food, so say somebody hadn't eaten all day, but they were stressed about, something at work, something at school, you name it. And their blood sugar was low during that time because when it was high because they were stressed, it goes high first because stress equals high sugar. And the brain says, hey, we got to get rid of that sugar. It's got to get out of the bloodstream because it's going to clot.
That's right.
Thicken and slow things down. So it tells insulin to go and signal cells to bring it out as quick as possible. And without help from nutrients like vitamins and such, it's kind of going to stay there for quite a while because vitamins are like an escort to sugar to go to get into the cell quicker and turn into energy.
Conduit. That's what I explain to people about vitamins is that they're a conduit. Not just that they play a part, but they're all connected. Their whole body's connected.
Well, here's another one for you, like in music, right? Crowd surfing. Crowd surfing with people are like, hey, I'm going to...
Yeah. No, I've been there. I've done it. I've seen it.
Sugar is the surf-er, the surf-E.
Surf-E, yeah.
And then the crowd is the vitamin. Say, here you go, buddy. We're shuffling you into the cell.
What?
That's another good one.
Love it.
And so when you're bummed out, you will look to jack up your sugar and feel better for a minute with food.
Yeah.
That's the comfort part.
And then
because your sugar was low.
Then, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron. Doesn't the body take the excess sugar and doesn't know what to do with it, so it stores it as fat, and that's how people gain weight?
Yeah, that's the backup. So here's the thing. If we had the sweets and we knew what they were going to turn into, so the strategy would be this, hey, let's party or whatever, but let's go on a walk immediately after.
Yeah.
And have like a...
That's why you carb load before you work out.
Well, yeah, and like a glass of water with, some Himalayan salt or something in it to give us...
every day.
So the sugar we just ate would go somewhere before it turns into fat.
Time out. Can I do a quick little demonstration?
Yeah.
If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you eat is a big bowl of cereal...
Yeah.
You're already hurting your body, especially when the insulin is most sensitive.
And then
right?
you sit at the office, sit in traffic.
You sit in the car,
sit in traffic for an hour, and you're stressed.
Then after 4 hours at the office,
you're getting some stressful texts and calls. Oh, the wood didn't arrive. The drywall's not here. The client's pissed.
Or everything's down. We need IT.
Everything's down.
Okay, so and then lunchtime comes around and you eat a sandwich with bread.
Yeah.
And even if that sandwich has lettuce and some tomatoes, which aren't that beneficial, by the way.
No.
By the way,
not a lot of energy there.
Right. Thank you.
No protein there.
You're eating the bread.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to my little thing.
Yeah.
Here, guys, look, I'm going to, correct me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong. I'm willing to admit if I'm wrong. Here's pink Himalayan sea salt. And the ingredients actually say Himalayan pink salt.
That's it.
And they're actual rocks.
Yep. Big grains.
Look. See?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Dr. Madsen, look.
Well, go ahead.
Guys, I'm gonna take this like pills.
Yeah.
And this is...
They taste delicious, actually.
It doesn't hurt.
And guess what? Guess how many minerals are naturally occurring in those grains? Probably like 80.
80.
Just everything naturally. In the ratios, you don't have to sit and make it. It's already made.
Already made. And then I just...
And guess what they all do? They help control your sugar. All of them. Together.
So, when I was at one point in time, years and years ago, diagnosed with some sort of blood sugar disorder, when a endocrinologist, I have no opposition towards doctors, physicians, specialists, endocrinologists told me that I was pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
Because we're talking 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Me, pre-diabetic. All along, I had a sodium deficiency.
Yeah.
And pink Himalayan sea salt, a handful, not a handful, but like that small amount, like a dime size amount, just like vitamins, every day. Because of the lack of sodium in the blood, makes the body feel like the sugar has to overcompensate because the salt's not there to do its job, which causes a blood sugar swing.
Well, it's like, here's another one for you. Like in basketball, you know how when you're going for somebody shooting a free throw and you box out, like rebound. You want the ball and you don't want the opponent to get it. You're boxing them out. Mm-hmm. To me, that's what salt or bitter things, they can black out sweet cravings. You know, they can like overpower those. Like, so have that and then see how much you want the cookie. probably like half as hard.
Hey, Aaron.
Do some things like that.
Is that why I can get a 12-ounce ribeye
Yeah.
cooked medium, maybe on the rare side, eat about half of it and feel like I'm good?
Oh yeah.
Because like that 6 to 8 ounces of nutrient dense meat that has amino acids, fatty acids, protein, like satisfied.
Vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, like my body just went like, bro.
Well, here's the thing too. It's always another phrase I know we've all heard is you are what you eat. Well, you are what you absorb. Because a lot of people eat great stuff and still suffer because their absorption in the gut, where it all happens, isn't on par.
It isn't on par.
So they're kind of missing out. It's like going right through them.
So can explain the gut in layman's terms, like you've done with me, and guys, again, like I don't know fucking anything.
Well, you're qualified because you have a gut.
Because I have a gut.
Yeah, you have every right to know and talk about it. And
Thank you. Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, I try my hardest to learn, but like what I don't know, and I'll admit I don't know. But in my mind, the stomach, think of the stomach as like you're throwing things in this machine, and this machine like chops it all up, right? Organizes it, and sends it where it needs to go. But if you don't take care of that machine, then it doesn't chop it up that good.
Yeah.
And it only sends parts of things where it needs to go. And then there's a lot of extra waste that could have been utilized if the machine was taken care of, right?
Yeah. I mean, these are, again, it's the analogies that I love the most. Some of my favorite ones when it comes to the gut, everybody knows about a wood chipper.
Okay, a wood chipper.
Or a confetti shredder.
Okay.
In the office. And we love the sound. I love the sound. Or you're stepping on like bubbles and the shipping, the air bubbles or whatever. But the shredder is the best one, or the wood chipper. Your food could be chopped up that fine, and your blood would appreciate it. Your brain, it needs it to be chopped into small, in order to absorb it. But most people's guts are so compromised. They don't have basically the blades of the chipper, which are the enzymes. Are kind of like blades.
Right. Enzymes are blades because they break down the food.
And probiotics are kind of like, they're breaking stuff down, almost like little Pac-Man. They're eating it, and they're kind of like...
So the name probiotic...
Like in biotic, as in life, so they promote life.
Okay, thank you.
And antibiotic is, anti-life. They're kind of killing stuff off.
Like when you get an infection, you take antibiotics because they kill the infection, but they also kill the probiotics
They
in your
kill
gut,
the good stuff.
and that's why people get like...
diarrhea.
Yeah. Okay.
And it can take months to rebuild.
Or never. Scary because there's a famous grappler named and I'm only going to say this because he's a guy that would straight up tell you the story too. Gordon Ryan, who was getting staph infection after staph infection, and he was taking his antibiotics, and it messed up his gut so bad that his gut was not digesting and emptying properly, and then eventually. Like he got a hold of some people that helped him with stem cells and started helping him feel better.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a never-ending battle because of the detriment.
Some of the stuff that was probably, built at birth,
Yeah.
Either, through nursing and like natural birth and things, where you can get a real strong system, or maybe if you didn't, you'd have a lot more work to do growing up.
I'm a firm believer in breastfeeding children.
Yeah.
The mother produces that milk for a fucking reason, dude. They call it gold.
Yeah.
Like the ladies that deliver the babies and nurses and stuff, they're like, oh, there's the gold.
They know.
The baby starts drinking right away, and like
instinct.
That's instinct, and that's the best thing you can give an infant.
Yeah.
Especially all the way up into a year.
Well, it goes right up. Well, it goes right back to where you're asking about the gut. It's like if stuff's there built from the beginning, from an early foundation, our first exposure. If it's not, we got a lot of work to do, and that could explain a lot about diseases in childhood, even adulthood. If it's never corrected, it's going to still be a problem. So our gut is where things, almost like the mailroom, stuff gets broken down. Hopefully, and once it is into Scrabble tiles and all these little parts like pennies. It's sent places all over the body to rebuild the body.
Right. That's the Mecha Center, man. That's
Yeah.
where all
It's a train
starts.
station.
Everything that every single fucking fiber,
Yeah.
hair, vein, muscle on your body
Yep.
got there starting in the stomach.
Yeah.
Starting in the stomach.
Yep. And the interesting thing is, a lot of the things we eat have a very similar profile to the tissues that make us up. So, just a little reference to like autoimmune conditions are when the gut, the glands, and the tissues that make it up that are always like assessing. Its job is to kind of keep us safe from things from the outside. Mm-hmm. But when the stuff we eat starts to look a little too much like our own tissue, and it's kind of been abused so much, maybe through antibiotic use or just improper nutrition, it starts to turn on you, and kind of like break up your tissues, and it basically starts in the mailroom. Now it just doesn't have an address on it. It's like, where is this going? I don't know. And those blades that I referenced is kind of similar to, now it's just chopping up everything. And maybe not completely either. So your blood can wind up with chunks, not just little Scrabble tiles, but like partial words. And until they're broken down into the smallest bit, they don't belong in the blood, but there they are in the blood for a lot of people. Causes them a lot of problems. And because their gut lining it's like potholes in their gut lining, and stuff gets right through to the bloodstream prematurely. And that's happening like a little bit every day. And people are like, well, I eat healthy. It's like, well, and you kind of ate.
You think you eat healthy because you've been indoctrinated to believe you're eating healthy.
Yep.
But what you're actually doing is you're participating in a game where big food, big pharma, profit.
Yeah. So you hope you're eating healthy. You're kind of like leaving it to chance. You're leaving it to, you think everybody except yourself is an expert. Like, I'm going to wait to, kind of get my lifestyle blessed by somebody besides me. I'm not going to do the research. I'm not qualified to do the reading, and even if I feel rotten, I'm gonna suppress it as long as I can. And
can I say something?
Kid myself.
I recently was passing through central Kentucky, where my grandmother lives. Mm-hmm. My grandmother's 98 years old. Mm-hmm. She lives in central Kentucky in a small town. She lived there since 1970. Mm-hmm. And before that was 20 years in Houma, Louisiana, which is south Louisiana, like small town. Mm-hmm. Like she, and I don't know how food was then versus now. I'm assuming it was better than it is now, but she eats eggs every fucking day.
Yep.
Eggs yolks, all of it. She would eat real oatmeal, like rolled oats, oatmeal. She cooked food, real food. She never smoked. She never drank. She's 98 and still walks, still
doing
talks.
something right.
She's starting to, dementia's starting to like take over. But you're 98. She still knows who I am. If I called her on the phone right now, she would guess a couple times and she'd say Shannon. But
really,
is it possible that she's still 98 years old because she wasn't, what's the word I'm looking for, poisoned with what most people are presented?
I would have to say that her early start,
through to depression, she lived. By the way. She was born 1924.
She's built of a bed. Well, also I'll put it this way: even though you got similar genes, they get signaled by the environment they live in. So when people say, "Well,
she doesn't believe in stress,"
but she can handle it a lot better.
She doesn't get mad.
Yeah.
I have never seen her get mad. Even when I say a cuss word and she chased me around the yard with a bar of soap, it would just be like there was no stress. She didn't let anything bother her.
She still loved you.
She just dealt with what needed to be dealt with. She was a nurse too, Aaron. A nurse. She worked in a nursing home as a nurse, taking care of old people for 20 years. Retired when she was like 68 years old, then went back to work and worked until she was 94.
Well, think about this. Some of the things we've touched on, it relates exactly to the question, like how does she survive and thrive to 98? Her constitution, it started out a little bit stronger than average. She maximized it with, early nutrition, early, faith practices and the whole thing, and sleep, the foundational health practices. And then she maintained that. And then because number one, we're not going to avoid pitfalls, ups and downs, ebbs and flows. And we say, but it's not how many times, it's how you deal with it. Not what happens, but how you respond.
Man, she was just so impressive.
Sounds like she has a much better response mechanism going on.
Dude, I envy the
takes it in stride
state of mind that she has.
Yeah.
Like even when I would bring problems to her, she would just go, okay, and she would just deal with it. It's like she was tough, man. She was disciplined. Like I said, she lived through a depression and you know, grew up in Central Kentucky, was a nurse. Like before she was a nurse, she raised 3 children through a 30-year period. Like my biological father was born, and then when he was 10 years old, she had her youngest daughter and another daughter between. So then by the time he's 18 or whatever, off to the army, well, she's still got September she's raising, you know, like she raised kids. And then when for September was off to school, then she went and got a job to be a nurse in her 40s.
Wow.
Worked for 20 years as a nurse, retired, then went back to work till she was 94.
Oh, wow.
Is it possible that she lived that long not only because she ate real food, but she didn't overeat? She ate because she needed to, but she had a purpose.
Well,
she stayed active, she stayed busy, her body and her brain knew, we're here doing something, we ain't got time to die.
Well, that's you're getting into really good territory, and I say it's like recent discoveries, not new concepts, but discoveries kind of tying it together, at least in a way that makes sense, which is how you respond to stress or how you respond to adversity, and able to put it in perspective. Like we all get maybe a little bit off balance every day or in a mood.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, a dozen times. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But the question is, how long are you going to stay there? You get to answer that. Like, is it going to be all day, 5 minutes, 10 years?
Yeah.
And only you can answer that. Maybe in her case, she's like, that's unfortunate. Let's get back on the horse.
She comes from a time and a place.
Let's get back on the horse.
Yeah,
right away.
That's right. She comes from a time and a place where it's like, oh, we got to get back on the horse or we're dead.
Well, we talked about this a minute ago. We said, what's the consequences if we stay in a mood? It's almost like the meter is running as like a cab fare to our physiology, which says the meter is paid in nutrients because it's a stress response, which is a sugar increase.
Okay, yeah.
So she didn't necessarily know how to explain it, but you can feel it. Like, okay, I got to get back and I got to snap out of it.
So stress is designed to help the body and the mind say, hey, we have a situation.
Yeah.
But instead of like dwelling on it, just go, hey, we have a situation. Let's assess it.
Yeah.
Boom, beyond done.
Yeah. Ancient man. And even like in your grandma's case, you know, even modern people that have better understanding. If you don't get back on the horse, you're going to continue to pay a physiological, anatomical price.
And eventually you'll commit suicide because your brain goes, hey, we're done doing this.
So we said every day we rebuild a little bit and we age a little, we break down a little. Depends how we live. It's a little bit of breakdown and build up. And the difference between those, my friends, is the word known as metabolism. So the difference between how fast you are rebuilding minus how fast you're breaking down. Build up, break down, the difference. And like in accounting terms, are you in the black or are you in the red?
Right. So having a good metabolism is like having a good crew building a house well, and having a bad metabolism is having a not so good crew that can't.
We'll say a better metabolism can be acquired. In other words, you know, you've heard people say, well, my friend can eat anything. She could, you know, they're kind of jealous about it. It's like, and I sort of try to give the perspective like, well, that won't last forever. It depends what else she's doing or he's doing because they're just not aware. They're breaking down too, just maybe at a slower rate for now. But the more we stay in a mood or eating properly, you know, the meter's running constantly and the bills always do in the form of nutrients. The brain's like, well, how do I deal with this? I'm going to ask the vital organs to tap into savings, basically. Nutrient rainy day fund to handle this stress. So that's where supplementation comes in.
Let's do that now, Aaron. Thank you for that. Supplements is let's define it.
Yeah,
you're supplementing for the lack of what your body's not getting from the food you eat.
Yeah.
So if you eat nothing but fucking pizza, cereal, cheeseburgers, your body is not going to do well. Yeah. Because for thousands and thousands of years, human beings were eating real food, real meat, real vegetables, real fruit, straight off the fucking vine sometime, right? Yep. Now we don't have that.
Right.
So we should supplement it. And how do we supplement it? Well, I take a plethora of vitamins that help me.
Yeah.
And let's go there.
Well, I mean, we like concede or stipulate, as they say. Let's agree on this from the start that the food itself, the diet alone, is pretty inadequate to provide our needs. It really is. We can get enough protein, I'm sure. We really can. But trace nutrients, we just said, for example, an apple today would take 10 apples to be an apple 50 years ago.
Well, getting enough protein may not be enough because the balance isn't there, right?
So we're just saying for, 99% of the people out there, because of the soil that stuff is raised in, and we don't always have the luxury of getting the highest quality, the most properly pristine raised stuff. It's a standard to try for, but when you're in a pinch, it's not going to happen. It's not as convenient. It might be too expensive. So the deficit is made up in supplements. It's like making up for what your food could have, would have, should have provided you, even if it was perfect. 50s food or 100-year-old food, back then you would have to digest it properly. We would still have to have great gut health to make use of it.
Yeah.
Right? So our supplements, I look at them as a given, not just in a competitive sense. It's like to keep up with your body's needs, And the whole point of, like in your grandma's case, or someone who achieves a ripe old age, they're clearly, the math is favorable, like she's still in the black. She's breaking down a little slower than she's building up.
Yeah.
Because of the way she snaps out of it.
Man, it's slowly, like
you can age slowly.
Yeah, like when she was 90, she was old. And now she's 98, she's a little older, but it's like, man, 98. Not many people. Most people, only 1% of the population makes it to 98, dude.
Yeah. So it's like, I look at it as a given. I look at it as frontline, like the first thing I turn to. It's like, I'm not writing a lot of prescriptions.
She doesn't take a single prescription medication.
Yeah. Well,
isn't that fucking nuts, dude?
A side note is, guess what else the bill to detoxify a prescription, which is like a bunch of toxicity in your body. It can kind of mask a symptom, but it doesn't belong there. And so the liver and kidneys go to work like stripping it down and trying to eliminate it. It does its business, symptomology, and then it's got to be eliminated, right?
Sorry, my dog just had a moment there.
He's got to go get back on the horse. But even detoxifying takes a lot of nutrition just to like get rid of the effects of like being on medication, for example, or being exposed to
Well, I know all about that, man. I was addicted to a benzodiazepine that was way more detrimental than fundamental, and it took me 6 months to wean off of it safely, and it was terrifying. This was over 12 years ago, and it's terrifying because how easy it was to get it and get on it.
Oh yeah.
And my therapist, 2 years into that addiction, and then after I was off of it, didn't tell me this in the beginning because he didn't want to deter me or discourage me, but he said, Shannon, I say this regrettably, but gratefully, that you did what most people don't, and get off of a drug that's can be deadly.
Oh yeah.
He said, you did what most people don't, and you're one of my greatest successes. Mm-hmm. And I want to use your story to help people. And I said, abso-fucking-lutely. Mm-hmm. He told me, he was like, I have helped hundreds of people, but where you came from and where you're at now is
night and
fucking day compared to what he sees. People that come and then hears about their suicide in the fucking obituaries or something, or from and he sees people that have some issues, and then he helps them and then they're good. But like where he saw me agoraphobic, and where he saw me what he saw me become just in 2 years, I went to him for 2 years. He says that was the most rewarding thing to him.
Well,
and I know, drugs like especially like pills, cocaine, heroin. Like I grew up around it. I've seen what it does to people. Like my best friend killed himself after he finally got off fucking drugs. You know, like I've seen it. I know people who OD'd on this. Like I know, I've seen it, and then hear that from him, like, oh, shit, man. It's scary how easy it is to get there.
Oh,
and doctors let it happen. Psychiatrists, like physicians, like.
I would put that. You're absolutely right. I would put those long-term addiction cycles in the same conversation as like we're talking about food and nutrition in general. Like almost like if you had to account for it as like you're giving up or managing cookies or booze or something. It's like if you knew what it would take to deal with the detox needs of the body during a time like that, you could weather it. But most people don't know. So they really hit bottom and they stay there.
They stay there because it's easier for them to stay there.
It's not like they're taking their pinch of Himalayan salt, for example. Yeah. I mean, even the little things could really start.
And I hope to fucking God, if there is anybody out there that has come remotely close to feeling like they aren't where they should be health-wise, man, message me. I don't know it all, but I can connect you to people. It's who you know.
Well,
it's who you know.
I say there's a lot of common needs that unite everyone, and we can start to get back on the trail. I mean, we have virtually identical physiology and needs. And then we just account for like our specific tastes and hobbies. And you can tailor somebody's approach, and it's always a choice. But I like more information, more context, and more autonomy to say, okay, no, I can do this. Just, tell me both sides or all sides. I want to use my brain to make a good conclusion and a good analysis. But there's just flat out lack of information,
lack of information. And it's almost like it's not even a lack of information. The information's
Context.
out there. It is like there's some sort of impediment. There's some sort of like distraction. Like, hey, don't look over here.
Yeah. Well,
you need to stay over here where your fucking comfort zone is.
Yeah.
Where we told you it's okay to be.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah. Don't look over here where the real fucking answers are. Like,
leave it to the experts.
Those are conspiracy theorists. Don't listen to those guys. Don't listen to the guy who's 48 and looks like he's fucking 25. No, don't listen to that guy. Don't listen to the guy who practically was part of someone who saved my fucking life, over the years. Like, don't listen to that guy. Anyways, like, let's go back to supplements.
Yep.
If you had somebody walk into your office, and I know everyone's different, and say, Aaron, I need help, where would you start?
Well, we'd have to know what their day looks like.
Okay.
I want to know the things they're automatically doing right now that don't take any memorization, coaching, coaxing, persuasion.
Okay.
And they just find themselves
You're meeting them where they're at.
Yeah, well, but with context, with no filter. Because, in other words, it doesn't have to happen overnight, but I would be pretty quick to be compassionate, but say, hey, that may not be the best idea. We may want to consider a little less of this, a little more of this. Not saying it's easy, but almost painting an instant rough draft of what it might look like. I've compared what I do lately to sort of an overlay, like, they have not one of those goggles or whatever, but like a super suit. You're putting it over your schedule, and it's you, but you don't really notice it's there, but it's enabling you to look at things a different way, do a different bit. But it's like I'm not there. It's kind of guiding you, navigating you through your normal day. I get up at 8 or 6. I'm on the road. I'm in the office. And like a minimal disruption to that existing schedule and try to, frankly, with like supplementation,
yeah.
Fill in the holes. Because, I say, hey, what is one thing we're all going to do every day? We're going to eat. Mm-hmm. We're going to sit. Mm-hmm. We're going to maybe sleep. But eating and sitting are guaranteed. We're going to drive. We're going to be a little pissed off at certain times. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to account for, we're nodding off in the afternoon. Like, how many, 99% of people can say, oh, yeah, that's me. Start with that. And by the buy-in of, do you think we can do one little tweak at breakfast time? And honestly, that's where I start, because people think they just do. They're kind of programmed to think anything we discuss is above their pay grade. It's out of reach. You've heard it too. Oh, it's like, it's easy for you to say. I don't think I can do that. You're just lucky. Or it's easy for you to say is a big one. It's like, beyond it's not for me. It's like, well, I would try, but I couldn't do it because look at, I'm intimidated or something.
So let's back up a little bit. I asked the question, and that was I love that answer. I'm gonna write this down, dude. Like, when somebody walks into your office the first time, what do? And more or less, you don't just hit them over the head with everything. Mm-mm. Like, oh, you're fat. You need to exercise. You need to eat this. Blah, blah. Well, because you're not connecting with them. So what you're saying is like you meet them where they're at. You ask them about them. You get to know them a little. Yeah. Which is, dude, it's a leadership thing because you're connecting with them. Yeah. They feel comfortable. Then they can be a little more inspired about what you do. Okay. And then you say, okay, well, let's start with this. And you give them little bits of homework here.
Kind of surprising things too. Like I love, again, we said analogies, but like, hey, here's a good example. Like the Dog Whisperer. Remember that show? Like the Dog Whisperer? Like nobody's been able to get through to train my dog. He's been impossible for like eight trainers. And then this guy comes along and he finally breaks through and, makes a connection or whatever. And like a pit bull's eating out of his hand or something. And along those lines, it's like, I like not necessarily the tough cases because to me, there's so much commonality. There's nothing that tough. It's just, are they willing to move past like some form of addiction? Like they don't think they can move past that certain fix at 7 a.m. or.
But isn't that the first thing the brain does when it does not want to stop something is it will make excuses?
Yeah.
And it comes out of the mouth, like you said, like, oh, well, it's easy for you to say.
Yeah,
that's their brain going, hey, don't listen to this guy. We don't want to do this.
Well, here's what I'm trying to connect dots in my mind and kind of frame it in a story form or a narrative form. We crave familiarity. And the familiarity is what we've always done in the past to this point.
Comfort.
Bad or good.
Okay. So we're like slow or loath to change to even something much better because at least the past that was like broken and failed is familiar. So it's ours and we're going to cling to it because it's familiar. But gotcha.
the problem is we are products of our past. So like even our body, like our new tissue, we're always making new cells, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about like where cells are coming online, cells are dying constantly. That's life. And so, and the environment that the cells are swimming in, like including nutrition, like the blood that's flowing past them, that determines what the new cells are going to look like. Like the new body is going to be same as the old body if the habits are the same. If the inputs, the emotions, the statements to self.
Dude, that's why somebody can like be going through shit, eating like shit, have health problems, and then start exercising, eating better food, and then not just they lose weight, but they look healthier just in general because they're replacing the construction material in their body to rebuild with better.
Imagine this as a contractor. What if you said, okay, I may not agree with it, but if you want to save some money and this is, it's your choice, it's your home. Do you want to use the same like substandard materials to save $1? If you're okay with it, that's what I'm going to bring. My crew's going to lay it down and you're like, it's going to look the same.
Or do you want to like make this look immaculate and you spend a little extra dollars, but this product is going to be around longer?
Yeah.
You won't have to replace these cabinets or these countertops. They'll be here for 30 to 40 years.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's so some terminology of we go through, and basically an addiction is like a repeated emotion. Like I'm attached to this experience that I just can't let go of even like years later.
Yeah.
It was like bad or good, but things that are very memorable because they were powerful emotions and they're like imprinted like a Sharpie on your mind, and that can kind of keep you stuck there and basically say I'm nostalgic about the past and I can't see like the future. I can't see tomorrow. I'd rather live in the past. And that includes like diet and experiences and like limitations you put on your sense of adventure. Like, no, I couldn't do that.
Another thing too, Aaron,
there's a lot of that.
There's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of people that they don't even know what it feels like to feel good.
Yeah.
So they don't even know. They don't even know what they're missing out on.
That's right. They love familiarity. It's like at least I can predict, my rage in traffic, or at least I can predict my fight with my friends or my significant other or my failure at this job or whatever. I'm used to that, but it's my failure. At least it's my failure.
Yeah. And if they feel like they say so, it goes and it's okay. And so supplements,
Or their diagnosis. They love their diagnosis like, I'm a diabetic, like a badge. And you can't take that away
wow.
from me. I don't want to move past that because I got so much attention from that.
That's a whole nother fucking animal.
You don't know what it's like. And it's like, well.
Son of a bitch. Well, you put it there. So someone comes in the office, you meet them where they're at, you help them with baby steps, and then you kind of feel them out like, hey.
I show them, yes.
Yeah.
I show them actually.
And they can bring you blood work.
They can bring me blood work.
And you can look at that and go, you know what? I think all you need is some vitamin D and some this and that, and give it time. You're not going to feel it overnight, right?
You know, a good typical introductory span is like a 12-week run.
12 weeks. Okay, so that's 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, let's get some blood work before and after, and look at the same measures. Maybe a couple expanded measures at the end of it. But a lot of times people are like, well, I had something from a year ago or whatever. It's like, fine, let's see something. So paint some context. You know, let's know your height, your weight, your body fat, your blood, your vitals, your blood pressure.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
A year ago, a lot can happen in a year. Hmm? So I feel like that if somebody has had blood work from a year ago, let's get new blood work.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be a fucking expert.
Maybe twice, but at least every year.
At least every year, yeah.
It is just a snapshot.
I do. Dude, I fucking do. I had blood work a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah, in Florida while I was out of town.
Yep.
And it's not like it's not like oh, this isn't my doctor. I can't go get blood work from him. No, I did because I knew that I can take that and bring it to you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's just information. So it paints a picture.
It was good, by the way.
That's good. That's good. Well, and then it's like, do it under like a 12-hour fast or something to make it more representative, so it doesn't skew like the blood sugar.
Well, it depends on what they're looking for. They want you to fast when it's a blood sugar thing, right? Because they don't want to see you above 100 and something. But
well,
yeah.
And we'll just say a lot of people's insulin's just out of control. That's probably the biggest one.
Dude.
Even on a fast, it's still off the chart.
That's right. And it can look, even on a fast, or
it's
insulin
not always
can be
checked.
Right. Even on a fast, their insulin can be out of control. Yep. And it doesn't mean they're diabetic. It just means that whatever they're going through right now needs to be adjusted.
They're on the road, though.
They're on the road, yeah.
And so that's a sign that when we said, hey, there's a limited window for sugar in the blood from a meal to get put away for something useful before it gets fat stored. And insulin being high means it's going to get fat stored because it's the backup.
It is.
So insulin shouldn't be high after a fast. It should be back down to near zero. Actually, zero.
Insulin basically at zero.
Yeah.
And with a blood sugar level in like 80s.
80s.
Yeah.
80s.
85 is like a perfect number. Waking up in the morning. An hour after you wake up. Because when you first wake up, the cortisol spike can cause
You got it.
Yeah.
Which means the sugar goes up naturally.
Yes.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
And, so even those non-eating times when there's higher cortisol in the morning, higher sugar, that means the nutrients, vitamins and minerals to clear that sugar out need to be there.
Yeah.
To get those sugar levels down and producing energy, because sugar's supposed to turn into energy.
Okay, it is. You're right.
Not delay. Fat storage is just delayed energy. It's like a pension you can't touch.
Right. And
It's like an IRA. It's like, no, you can't touch it without.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Losing weight.
Yeah.
If somebody came to me and said, "Hey, professor, I want to do jiu-jitsu, but I want to lose some weight first," the first thing I say to them is like, "Well, bro, that's how you lose weight." I'm like, "Oh man, I don't want to go in there and like be out of shape and feel bad." I'm like, "Why would you feel bad?" He's like, "Oh, because like I'm like, I'm tired and I don't want to like make my sparring partner feel like
I can't move.
Like no. Listen, man. First of all, I appreciate you trying to be your best for us, but dude, we're here to help you.
Yeah.
And you're here because you need help.
Yeah.
We don't need you to get to a certain point. That's like not going to the doctor until you're ready to pass a flying color physical.
That's why you're there.
Dude, that's why you're there.
You don't wait to go.
If you're 300 fucking pounds and you want to lose weight, come to my gym.
Yep.
We have big boys that are going to train with you. In about 3 or 4 weeks, your cardio is already going to increase. because you're movement. And you're going to be losing weight. You're going to start shedding off pounds. And before you know it, you've lost 20 or 30 pounds and you feel better.
Yeah.
You don't do that, then come jiu-jitsu. Like, just come.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
So,
it can
again,
be
the
at the
question,
same time.
if somebody came to your office and they wanted to lose weight, what's the first thing you tell them?
Well, like I say, extra weight is just an adaptation by the brain that's starving, the brain that's panicked. It's like, it pretty much, see, it's in the dark. Your brain's in the dark, and your eyes are part of your brain, so it's kind of like a periscope. It's looking around. It's all these environmental cues. It's all constant feedback, what's going on in the environment. And the brain kind of makes all these executive decisions like, okay, I don't see enough of all these different nutrients I asked for. They're not there. We have to survive. What are we going to do? We're going to save everything. We're going to store everything like it's going out of style because we don't know if we can count on getting our next meal that easily. So all this fat storage, because it's an ironic thing because people are eating all the time. So why are they storing all of it as if it's going out of style? Because they're not eating the nutrients in the food. It's not dense enough. They're not getting satisfied. They're getting overfed and undernourished. So they store it.
Right.
So we basically say, because you're overfed and undernourished, and it goes along the lines of saying, I don't like to tell you, hey, give up all your favorite things. I like to say, hey, let's start with almost like pulling a ball out of a dog's mouth or a gator's mouth. It's like, you're not going to win that one. Give it something it likes better or that it worries about a little less. And it's like voluntarily. So I say, okay, we have, you like pizza, huh? Well, can we have a little, drink with some salt water in there while you're eating the pizza and then take a little less of a shot, a body blow when you eat that pizza? Yeah, we can start there, We kind of undo their existing things because nobody sticks with complexity. Everybody looks for simplicity, myself included.
Well, people are simple creatures.
Yeah, so I know they can't handle it.
Right.
And most of my life has been, hey, you talk above people, people don't understand you, they're intimidated. It's like, well, I don't try to do that. But I do everything I can to just relate and build and say, let's start here. Like, hey, you like a drink? Why don't you have that last? And
After dinner.
Make sure you have your protein. And I want to put pieces in place and then make them feel like a success right out of the gates, that's attainable. And they can say, well, you look good for your age or whatever. I say, well, thanks. But, actually, over time, I lost 40 pounds myself.
Wow.
Not overnight. But, like maybe 20 years ago, I know I was in 240s. I know that. Now I'm like 2 even, whatever, maybe give or take. Maybe up when I was doing that latest tournament. But I was like $195 for years, probably about 2, That seems to be, my brain seems to like it. So, it's like I never miss a meal. I get my numbers too. I have the same needs as you, eating my protein and that way I'm not walking around all night looking for my next snack. I'm done.
So if somebody had an addiction to just bad food, would you say to them like, hey, I tell you what, this is what I want you to do. Next time you have a craving, instead of eating pizza or donuts or whatever, would you say try like fruit, like berries?
Well, here's what we do. You identified some of the supplements that you are doing.
Right.
And especially in the beginning of the day, we know that when you come first thing in the morning and you go to the bathroom, you're very low. You lose a lot of nutrients in the toilet.
Yes, you do.
And sweat. So we'll just say you're very low.
That's why your first pee of the day is the darkest, right?
Yeah, it's full of like
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So you start like in the hole basically. So in the morning is like a nice window to really set yourself up for the day, depending on how well you replace, especially vitamins and minerals, like in a drink. And maybe you can delay like having a big breakfast.
I don't eat breakfast. I fast until like 1 or 2 o'clock, and I got that advice from you.
No, here's the thing. It's an excellent route because most people are trying to lose fat, especially. So waiting is a great vehicle during the waiting time, supplementing, which isn't really breaking the fast. It's helping you to extend the fast. Because nutrients are what the body runs on, so it's not like it spikes blood sugar.
Right.
It's a gray area, but we'll just say, you're not exactly drinking orange juice and having cereal and waffles and things.
Which is, by the way, drinking orange juice, eating cereal and waffles in the morning is not a good thing.
A lot of people do it, and
but it's not a good thing.
It explains a lot about how they look and feel.
And I'm just going to reiterate, I'm not a professional, but I can just speak for my experience.
Yeah.
But in front of a professional, if you're waking up in the morning and drinking orange juice and eating waffles and cereal, you're not doing yourself a service.
Well, the thing that we address when they come in, there must be such a deficit. It's not only a habit and they're just doing it; they crave it. They still want it. They still the brain is still saying, "Go get something."
Well, that's because they were told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Well, it's important, and they want it. So, I'd be one thing if they're eating steak and eggs.
That's right. And my grandmother ate eggs every day, and I did. I grew up on eggs.
What time is she eating them?
After, I don't know what time, but I will say this: if she made breakfast, it was eggs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, because here's the deal. I've adapted a little bit, and I still say it technically is where I always was. But in other words, if I start eating earlier, I'm going to end earlier.
Oh.
Because it's dark outside. I'm not going to do a lot of moving. I'm not eating my big dinner anymore.
Not late
I'm
at
eating
night.
bigger earlier and stopping earlier also.
So you keep it within a window.
Still a window.
And I do that too. So I eat afternoon. I eat like 1 or 2 o'clock. I eat a lunch, a late lunch. I don't eat breakfast. I eat a lunch, and it has protein, right?
Yeah.
And then 7, 8 hours, I may have another meal then in between, but I eat dinner right after training.
Yep.
I'll have like dinner, and again I eat red meat, or soups and stews, but not like soups and stews that you think of are like in a can. Like we chop up veggies, we put meat in, we use like apple cider vinegar in there, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And real ingredients, real food, food.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
That's how you break these cycles that lead people to hit the juice and cereal.
Nutrient-dense food.
And because the brain, when you're going for the sweets, it says, I don't care what it is, I just get something, hurry.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't find it, you know you're not going to find it, but you win on instinct. It's just, I hope it's in this bag of chips. I hope it's in this pizza. You know it's not there.
It's not there.
Processed food means all the nutrients are taken out so it can have a 10-year shelf life.
That's right.
The fact that it doesn't spoil is because it has no more nutrients.
If it doesn't spoil, it doesn't break down. If it doesn't break down, it doesn't benefit you.
That's right. So there's that trade-off. So even then, somebody's they're coming in, they're overweight. That just means they're undernourished. So the second they start adding nutrients back in, supplemental nutrients, the cravings go down, the weight comes off. At least it starts coming off. And it's like, it's not about going and exercising harder, and it's not about starving. It's about timing, making some better choices. But the point is, for example, I'm not deprived. I don't miss meals. I eat till I'm full, but you get a little bit better with the choices and the sourcing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not easy, or everybody would be doing it.
Sure, it's not easy, but anything else, when you practice it, it gets easier.
It does get easier.
Yeah.
And you kind of get good at it. And it's nice when you can say, hey, it's kind of cool. It's like it's like jiu-jitsu in a lot of ways. You've repped a move, you've mentally rehearsed it. It's like, I don't remember not knowing how to do it and doing it well. It's like, well, that's like a lot of skills, music, you name it. Mm-hmm. Building, you've done it, you've mentally repped it. Just like looking for the kind of meals that satisfy you. It's like, it used to be tough, now it's pretty easy, and I actually like it. And the response, I know I'm doing the right thing because the cravings are gone, my skin looks good, I don't itch.
And I don't have to eat first thing in the morning.
And I'm done.
Aaron, I have more energy when I don't eat first thing in the morning than when I would have to eat breakfast. And then 2 hours later, I would crash. I'd feel like shit.
Yep.
I'd be lethargic. I'd want to take a nap.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. The body, the brain, led by the brain, it would prefer, when it's a little better at what it does, it gets to this level where it can live off fat. It can live off, I'll say it again, live off ketones, which is when fat breaks down. Turns into ketones.
That's
so
right.
When you're fasting and the sugar from yesterday is done, like about 18 hours after your last sugar, like your last bite from yesterday, the glycogen stores, which is like stored sugar in your muscle and liver. That's like if you worked out too, that's kind of gone. Now it's like, okay, what else do we got? Well, you got some fat, and it's first thing in the morning, but you hadn't eaten yet. It's like, oh, we're going to use fat for fuel. You're fat. So that's why, and you feel great because fat is very stabilizing to the blood sugar. And an analogy I say to patients all the time is, you want to know what sugar's like in the body. You ever burnt a marshmallow?
Say that one more time.
So if you want to know what the effects of sugar in your body, the inside, the outside, anywhere in your body, even in the smallest blood vessel, like a capillary, It's bad, especially there, because there's not a lot of room.
Right.
So a burnt marshmallow is what sugar looks like when it's, because oxygen hits it. Oxygen burns stuff in the body.
Yeah.
So when oxygen hits sugar, it burns it. And it makes it rusty and sooty like a burnt marshmallow.
And it burns like fast.
Fast. Just like if we built your fire with newspapers.
It'd be gone.
Well, it'd be gone, but if we had a huge stack and kept feeding it all night, we could keep it alive. That's sugar. A newspaper fire. So that, again, I say these stories, that might be my all-time favorite.
So is that why,
how we build a fire.
But fat burns, but slower.
Yes. So if we built a fire with like one of those Costco Permalog things, we might only need one of them for 8 hours.
Longer,
And it would be a cooler, stronger, but more sustained fire. We could walk away.
This is next level stuff, dude.
It's cool because people are like, hey, I say, I don't want that on my body. They're like, oh, a sooty mess. Like, what does a newspaper look like the second it touches ash? But that's what sugar looks like in your blood the second it goes in your bloodstream.
Burns fast.
Burns. That's oxidation. So all these antioxidants are trying to clean that up, but it's hard to do. It's like going to fall well short of the cleanup. Might do a partial cleanup.
As a professional, a naturopathic doctor who's been studying this, how long?
Well, with my dad, like at his courses when I was, high school, like 30 years.
Fucking some years.
Yeah, like in the 80s, I was going to courses with him.
There you go. Longer than most people have been alive. You are honestly an example of physical health. You're, in your late 40s, and, they say, 30 is the new 20. Well, man,
Can be.
48 looks good. Like, I hope I look like you when I'm 48. What would you say to people who, let's say I walked in your office for the first time. We talked about you meet me where I'm at. You find out my daily routine, baby steps. You touch on this, you touch on that. When I'm ready to hear the all of it, when I'm ready to just say, you know what, I'm all in. I want to be healthy. I want to do the right thing. Hit me over the head, dude. Tell me. Oh, Frankie. Hey, sorry, the doggy's here.
Such a good boy.
He's a good dog.
He's a good dog.
Okay, Frankie.
Well,
come on, go over here. I'm finishing the show.
You got a great spot here, Shannon. It's like the things we have surrounding us in life, family, pets, just the decor, the surroundings. It has a lot to do with our state of mind. I mean, in the bigger picture, right?
Not toxic people.
Yeah, like our support system.
I do not fuck with toxic people. If I find a toxic person in my life, I very politely ask them to leave. And I don't even say it. I just find a way to just...
Well, here's the deal. It's recent in this sense. And I like it because simplicity, right? Simplicity. And people can pick up on this. We know the words like stress. Yep. Even though it's like a it's a pop culture word, but it's a very important physiological word. So I don't mind it. Some words that are overused is like, okay, they're beating the word like a dead horse. Like literally, they say that a million times. They're like, it is what it is. They're just like beating them.
Yeah.
But if people say, hey, I'm under stress, it's like, okay, you actually are hitting on something, because stress is generic. So it can be mold in the room. It can be lacking nutrients. It can be a toxic person. It can be a smell.
I'm running from a lion. I'm stressed out.
It's generic. So it can be imagined lion or real lion.
Right.
The brain doesn't know the difference.
Oh.
And that was the case anciently. It's the case now. So all these imagined threats, we're in a world full of imagined threats.
We are.
Fear porn, as we say.
Yep.
Which is like disaster. Oh, disaster.
Oh, and the media is good at that, dude.
And you're not smart enough to do anything about it on your own. You must listen to the experts. All that fear, what do you think it does to our cortisol? Jacks it up.
Yep.
What does that do to our blood sugar? Jacks it up. And what do we need to do something with that we're not getting? The nutrients, the supplements. So where does that sugar go? The only place it can go, fat. Round the clock for everybody. Worse for women. They have more places to stick it.
Yeah.
And so they have a tougher road.
So you're saying women gain weight easier than men do?
It's just kind of like less margin for error before it gets problematic for them. Evolutionarily, childbearing, it serves a purpose, but on the road to recovery, we'll say it's a little trickier.
Got you.
But there's disadvantages and advantages for both. But that's
does estrogen versus testosterone have a part to play with fat burning and weight gain?
Yeah, of course. And estrogen is hugely produced by fat cells as well, kind of as a backup.
Okay.
It's kind of like chicken or the egg. It made you fat, or fat made more estrogen.
Okay.
And you see. We joke that a lot of the people I deal with could be like middle aged or whatever. So middle-aged ladies start to look like middle-aged men, and vice versa.
Oh yes, yeah.
The ratios of
there's men that produce less testosterone.
Yeah.
Especially when they don't use their body the way it's meant to be used. Yep. And the reason why men do produce testosterone is because evolution. Well, not evolution, but let's go back 10,000 years. It's like men naturally use their body in a way that required a chemical to keep it right. Yeah.
It was like leadership and capturing prey and
hunting,
hierarchy,
fishing,
hunting skills,
working So testosterone is important for men, just like estrogen is important for women. And because without estrogen, women can't even birth a child correctly, right?
And of course, it's all in ratios because estrogen is extremely important for men and testosterone is extremely important for women in different ratios.
Different ratios, right?
You could even say 90-10 testosterone.
90-10, but it's still a ratio.
But then 10-90 in women for testosterone, for example.
Fair. Makes sense.
So what were we saying a second ago, like as far as like first coming in? I love that discussion. We're talking like hit me over the head, right?
Hit me over the head.
The honest thing
with the truth. Hit me over the head with the truth. 30-some fucking years experience doing this, and you don't do it just to write prescriptions. You do it because you want to get down to the bottom of things and help people.
Well, here's the deal. We go back to the realities that we can't change, and we wouldn't want to change because it's simple and it's good that way. What can we do for you to master your day? Is there ever going to be a different layout of a day for you? No, it's always 24 hours. It's always 16 roughly waking hours. We're working on the sleep for the other 8. How can we arrange like the game pieces on your personal chessboard? Everyone's got one.
Fuck. Personal chessboard.
Holy
shit.
How do we master it?
Holy shit.
So we can be experts in our own game board.
Yeah.
And we happen to have pretty common pieces. It's like, well, you can't... No, I have a pretty good idea what you need. It's just a matter of, do you like it? How soon can you do it? Do you really want it? Is it a must? I can't make you do it. I love you, but I can't want it more than you.
That's right.
Type of thing.
I can't bring your horse to water and make him drink.
And I'm not going to berate you. I'm not going to, diminish you. I'm going to show you, and I'll be over here. Like if you're still deliberating, I'm not going to stop, but I want you to. That's leadership, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's like I'm going to exemplify it, and when you're ready, that attracts. Like I'm like, it gets back to the energy.
Dude, that's another thing
that's what I was going to say. The energy is this. It's generic. So when I said stress is a good word, it's like you said. I try to avoid toxic people. It's like we all have finite energy. So when it comes to making our chessboard more effective, we want our pieces to be like fresh coat of paint and varnish and like a brand new chess set, which means to me, we're saving our energy. Like I do all these right steps with the diet and the timing so I can make a good amount of energy to fuel and rebuild and all that stuff. But if I'm draining it with depression and anxiety and watching the news and hang around the wrong people, my energy's gone. I don't have the emotional state to attend all these cool things I did for my body. Those went to waste. I gave somebody else my power. So that's where I start. The truth for you or anyone would be, here's some of the things we can do that have worked for me for decades. Are you in? I want you to be, but only when you're ready and no sooner. But for your sake, I'm glad you're here. And it's like the compliment is most people aren't even here yet, So
most people don't even know it's a possibility.
They don't even know about the possibility.
Fuck. And it's sad because
it's like the
they deserve the opportunity.
Well, it's like the nose on their face. I can't hold it against them. They don't know it exists. So
because the brain actually bleeps out the nose.
Yeah.
If you close one eye and look, you can see your nose.
Yeah.
Your nose is right in front of your eyes, but your brain actually like blurps it out.
Well, it's exactly no. It's you can say in a grand scheme, our whole life is kind of a hologram. Like we're living like a video game. We're living like a projected reality, and we're having like a physical experience. And we are a consciousness. So the bridge of some of the ways I'm learning to describe all this is we can stop fixating on all the external things like your schedule, your calendar, the people you know,
the shit you can't help.
Yeah.
The news.
Everything that's on the outside.
The problems that people have that you can't do anything about, unfortunately.
And what's the common thing with all of those? They're on the outside.
They're on the outside.
So, but they can rob us of our energy that we built up on the inside with all the lifestyle things we did.
Of course. Because how does water get sucked out of a sponge? Well, you take a dry sponge and put it right next to it.
Yeah.
And it'll suck the water right out of it. And that sponge can't do anything about it unless it avoids that dry sponge. Because that wet sponge, as soon as it touches that dry sponge, the wet sponge can't say, hey, I'm keeping this water. No, because the dry sponge says, actually, science has another fucking, hold my beer, watch this, dude. No, you got to avoid it.
It attracts it. So,
Gosh.
So one of those things about, these fields of study with like energy we can't see, like quantum, so small we just can't see it, but we definitely know it's there. We could measure it and see it like on a thermal scan or like measuring brain waves. There's all different kinds depending on our stress state, sleep versus driving a race car. They're different brain waves, we'll just say that.
Very much so.
Our points of relaxation, but we'll just say most of our time is spent in pretty high stress, and you can measure brain waves. And that means we're externalizing the energy. That's survival, mere survival. So all the good things we do must be done at a minimum to keep up with that majority of time spent in a so-called beta wave stress brainwave state. And we say, okay, I recognize that that's what it's costing me. I'd rather save a little bit of my hard-earned energy. And with that savings and like diversion from losing it to the outside uncontrolled world to the inside to rebuild yourself, guess what's going to come off? Weight, fat.
Oh my gosh.
So we meet our needs first.
Oh, Aaron.
We stop losing it to the outside.
Aaron. Can I say something?
Yeah.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible that there are a vast majority of people that are in a situation that is that's very fucking unfortunate because they didn't even have a chance to be introduced to a situation that's more fortunate, and then they're stuck there, and even if they wanted to get away, it's a fight just to get away. Like I'm not going to try to use any analogies, but I will say this. I see thousands of people come through the doors of my jiu-jitsu school because they are looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
They are looking for something because they know deep down inside that what they're in is not good. The people they're around, the food they eat, the school they went to, the narrative that they're led to believe is the way. They're there, but they want to get away from it. So this one little thread leads them to my school. But the moment they come in and they have a good time, the moment they leave, they go back to all of that.
Uh-huh.
And all of that realizes they came back with some good. And they killed that good right there on the spot. Yeah. They fucking made them believe that they were a bad person for thinking that there's anything outside of this. And if they ever do that again, they're going to be fucking outcasts. And they won't have friends. They won't be loved, even though they're not loved. And they know they're not loved. That's why they try to look for something else. And the place that gave them the opportunity to love my jiu-jitsu school, the village, the people that I'm around, is no longer available because they got sucked back in. And they can't escape that. Is that very common?
Oh yeah, it's extremely common.
And why? Why?
I think it's very primal in that it's a very competitive, not just marketplace, but think about like tribal hierarchy. Like we're not going to lose any members if we on our watch. And it's a good here's an analogy, but we've seen it in like the grocery store. The crab pot. Have you ever seen like
crabs in a pot? They pull you back down.
They pull you back down.
Yep.
That might be the best one. You're not going anywhere. Oh, you think you're going somewhere? Rather than allowing this guy to pull you up, he wants to keep you down.
So a majority of people that walk into my doors leave because they have no choice but to go home. And then they're around their friends. They have to go home. The people, they're not friends, but the people that are acquaintances with.
Yeah.
Their social media.
Yep.
They tried to. They even mentioned like, oh, I tried jujitsu, and then they just got fucking bombarded with negativity and toxicity, and they can't leave that.
You can't do that. You shouldn't have done that.
And now they feel bad.
Imposter syndrome. Like you're that's not you.
How do we stop it? Dude?
Well, again. Good thing there's parallels because a lot of people are in that situation with, I want to eat better. I want to source better, but my family, my friends, they're not going to accept it. I have to cook for them. There's excuses.
Yeah.
And they're valid. It does take repetition because I say in physics, think about this, like pressure, or like in sales, it's like you're either going to be persuaded by me, or I'm going to buy your excuse. Whoever's more powerful in the argument wins.
Wait. You're either going to be persuaded by me.
I'm either going to successfully persuade you,
right,
or I'm going to buy your like bullshit excuse and let you walk away. In other words, like the student who came out of great experience, they go home. They're not strong enough in their foundation of the experience yet. It was too new, too fresh. And maybe in 3 times or 10 times they go home and they can overcome and keep coming a dozen and they never leave.
So would it be bad for me? Would I be a good person if somebody came in and they tried jujitsu with me and I know they had a good time and I can tell they do have these toxic people in their life, this community that's very negative and acrimonious and obviously doesn't want to fucking do anything but bitch and complain and make excuses.
And you know what that is.
I know what that is, but I don't want to get there. We'll go there one day.
Okay.
But if I could recognize that person, can I say to him like, hey, listen, I know you're going to walk out that door and you're going to go back to the life that you know. But you do know. I want you to know this. What you've experienced in here is real. Mm-hmm. And the people in here, you see all these people happy, smiling, diversity.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah.
And I promise you, you're no different than these people.
Yeah.
The only difference is when you walk out that door, there's going to be people that make you feel like you're not good enough to be these people.
Yep.
And by saying that, would I be... Like,
are you able to have those conversations right now? Have you had a few of those conversations?
Man, I'm trying not to get emotional. I'm sorry, but like I've seen, especially females.
Oh yeah.
Come into my school and sign up, and with them came like their friend who's like with their kids, and I just know like their friend is the crab in the pot.
I'm gonna talk them out of it.
And it's like. I almost want to say to that person, like, look, that person over there that you call your friend, I've seen these people before.
Yeah.
It's not your friend.
Yeah.
You're a convenience to them.
Yeah.
And if you do this, it's inconvenient for them. And they will do anything to fucking tear that away from you. Because they don't want to see you do better. Because if you do better, then they have to do better. But they don't want to do better.
Yeah.
Because they want to sit there and be fucking nothing.
Yeah.
They want to blame everybody and make excuses because being something requires effort.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they will take you to the grave with them if they had the opportunity. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to do that. Mm-hmm. You don't have to answer to them. They don't belong to you. You don't belong to them. And they will take everything from you.
If you bring that, you bring that to them. If you're able to...
Would I be bad for trying to like straight up tell people? Because I've seen it and it sucks. Because I almost want to be like, listen, I want to put my brain in your head for 5 fucking minutes. And I guarantee you, you will get rid of that person and you will come here and you will be a better person.
I guess you could say if you felt like, and it's already happened, if you've lost a couple of students.
Hundreds!
Well, then there's nothing to lose with giving them some passion. Like, what's there to lose? That if they're not going to come back anyway, you might save half of them.
And I can do
overnight.
it. I can do it without getting as emotional as I just did because I'm in a safe place,
No, it's okay.
and
It's okay.
I'm talking to someone who's very experienced with this. Like, but I do sometimes just want to say to people, like, listen, I tell you what, this first class was free. I'll give you 5 more classes for free if you promise me that you will come.
You be here.
Give it a chance. And don't listen to anything anybody says. Not even your mom, not even your dad. Because I love my mom and dad, but even they're wrong sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
And they admit it later on. But man, imagine the regret if they said to me 10 years later, hey, Shannon, you know that thing jiu-jitsu that we told you not to do? Fuck, you should have done it.
yeah. If you'd have listened too hard then 10 years ago.
And I know it's not for everyone, but I guarantee you there's... Most of the people that jiu-jitsu is for, they're not doing jiu-jitsu. They're out there doing shit.
Well,
that
we're finding that it's a transcendent type of language, like body language, life language. So, I mean, there's all kinds of there's high-end competitors and there's hobbyists, but it does magical things.
I have them all.
For their whole brain, you know.
Dude, I meet people where they're at. Just like you said, when someone comes in your office, when someone comes to my school, I don't look at them and goes, "You need to be a champion" or "Fuck you." No, when someone comes in my school, I'm just there to help them, man.
Yeah.
Meet them where they're at. If you just want to come be social a couple days a week, fine. I'm not going to fucking criticize you.
Yep.
If you come in late because of your job, fine. Better late than never. I will never tell you, oh, you can't get on the mat because you're late. I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
If you come a half hour late every day, the people on my mat are good people, understand.
Yeah, life happens.
Life happens. You can't get off work till a certain time and you got to drive 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You did more work than most people sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Another thing, if you want to be a world champion jiu-jitsu grappler, I will do everything to help you do that. But you have to show up. If you just want to learn a self-defense, I will do everything to help you defend yourself.
Yeah.
If you just want to come in and be social, just have somebody, a community, you're in the right spot.
That's pretty important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in the right
kind of the
space.
glue.
Very much so.
That holds
Very
those other
much
goals,
so.
too.
And if you just want to lose weight, jiu-jitsu will help you
That
lose
could
weight.
happen, too.
And can I say this? I have friends who are experts on helping people lose weight. You're one of them. AJ, Greg Jones, my business partner. Like Eric Dahlberg, another jiu-jitsu teacher that I originally learned from. He's one of the guys that he was there at the hospital when Eli was born. You know, like one of my best fucking friends. Mm-hmm. He was one of the guys that told me what I needed to hear.
Yeah. No, there's gifts in these instructors, these world-class guys and mentors, and we need that. It is a network, and it's going to take some continued evolution. Again, not just the kitchen and the clinic and the gym, but there's common threads that keep us there, that keep us coming back, and that keep us evolving past the peanut gallery, the crab pot.
Yeah,
that's always going to be there. But what I was going to say is that's always a projection of someone's inadequacy and insecurity, and I find myself doing it too. I mean, and so whenever I get moody, or upset or short, it's like you're just pissed off at yourself in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang, I'm sorry about that. It's like, mom, whoever, friend, whoever. It's not about you. That's just a convenient, cheap outlet. I'm sorry. Give me a minute. So maybe I'm identifying that as kind of a recent evolution to say it's a third way, which is, yeah, I'm still going to fall off every day, but now I have a better idea what it means and how to get back on and stay on with credibility past the naysayers, which is in my own head of like, now you can stay in this mood because you deserve it. It's not your day. This is not a good day.
You know what?
Tomorrow's a better day.
I'm going to say this right now.
More excuses.
As not just a businessman, not just as someone who practiced leadership, black belt in jiu-jitsu, friend, husband of 19 years, father. There is nothing more satisfying to me in this world than knowing that I don't blame anyone but myself. If there's a mistake in my business, it's not them.
Yeah.
It's me. And same with jiu-jitsu. If I'm training with somebody and I get tapped out, I don't get mad at them. I don't get mad at myself. As a matter of fact, I congratulate them, and then I evaluate myself.
That's one of the things I love. I've always loved that about the sport and just the community atmosphere. It's always been about learning. I picked that up the first day.
When you cannot blame anyone for anything that happens to you anymore, that feeling, then you're in control.
You're on the road to self-mastery.
Right, self-mastery, because you can't fix people, you can't change people. Even if something happened and I blame that person, I cannot fix them, I cannot change them. But when something happens within my business, my school, my family, I blame myself.
Yeah.
But then I don't beat myself up. I evaluate it, I take care of it. My grandma.
Yeah.
She just, oh, this happened, I need to deal with it. I get it.
No, you're coming on to really powerful lessons here with some of these like pearls of wisdom, because it's not that the art of catching yourself. In other words, like we're all, find ourselves in a bad mood or upset. We might project a little bit, but ultimately it's your responsibility. It might take a minute. There might need to be an apology. But I've been talking to, family and friends and just kind of getting my discoveries out about energy. And when it comes to projecting or making excuses, like letting factors on the outside control how I feel on the inside and waiting for them to change before I give myself the imperative to change. It's like I can't until they apologize. I can't until tomorrow.
Because then you're waiting around forever.
Then you're waiting, but it's also you're shifting. And so, again, that's an energetic. I use it as an incentive in clinical projects. Like, how bad do you want it? When it's like, I can't want it as more than you. It's like, well, if you are sitting there feeling sorry for yourself, like, I can't do it until I have permission from the experts. Or until my family history says I can't succeed because grandma or grandpa. It's like, there are all these excuses. So that's married to the past. Like, and you're going to repeat the future automatically if that's what you think your limits are.
Yep.
So when it's like, well, how bad do you want it? It's like, I lost 40 pounds too, or I'm starting to belt in jiu-jitsu, or I'm, picking up a bass guitar, and then, I'm not going to ever be giving a concert, but I'm having a fun time.
That's all that matters.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah. Or I'm singing, or, whatever it is. I'm cooking, all these things. And everyone's got their cool hobbies and outlets. It's like, find those passions and know that you get to write the score. And we're talking about a chessboard. We're talking about your own personal daily game board.
I fucking love that saying, man, dude. That what you said there alone is worth so much.
Well, and food is like, ultimately it's essential, but it's a small part. Get it and get it done like a ninja, get it and go have fun with it. Do something with you're building a Ferrari. We all know that one. Like, get it out of the garage, go drive it around, And so lately, this past few years, my situation, it's like there's a lot more time alone. It's like, well, I could be kind of like sulking and feeling sorry for myself, but I stay on my game, And it's like, and it's always in your own mind. It's like, well, I'm not going to put it in anyone's face, but it's like, well, a lot better than you could be. To kind of give yourself encouragement and be gracious with yourself. Like, little victories, acknowledge them to yourself, rather than you suck today. No, you were great today.
Hey, I love that. What you just said. One of my business coaches told me, he's like, "Hey, Shannon, I want you to write a victory journal." He's like, no matter how bad your day went, you thought it went, like I want you to like write down what you did that day that was worth celebrating, even if it was as much as like finishing an estimate, even if you didn't get the job, like you completed the estimate, and then write that down. And then if you lost a job, well, write that down. You just avoided a bad customer, or like, why did you lose the job? Like, what's the repetitive perpetuity that, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I was going to say that. You brought it up a minute ago. It's like we all catch ourselves in kind of a victim mentality, and we kind of use that as a stepping stone to excuses that are compounded. Like, I still can't do it because such and such happened. So and so did this to me.
Why else people pick up a victim mentality? Because it's indoctrinated in them.
It is
because they don't want Some
people make a lot of money at it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a profession. But we'll say this: if you're a student, there's no failure. So like one of the big ones for me is, God, that was a waste of money. Like, actually, no, you learned what didn't work.
Sometimes
You're
lessons cost
this
money.
much closer.
Yeah.
It's always that. So I've heard it around somewhere. You're a student. You're always a student. You're never a victim. Or you
always a student, never a victim.
You don't have to be.
Right. You're not a victim unless you die from like a murder.
Well, here's the deal. Well, even then, it's like you can still. Well, I hope someone's life isn't taken, but even as a matter of speaking, it's that person's burden. It's like it's not something you have to. You can move past it. They have to pay their legal price and moral price, and it's not right. It's never right. But even in an extreme case, I mean, it's like you can always shift it towards. We're talking about health, and a chessboard analogy. It's like much smaller, less extreme cases than violent crime or something. Just some kind of thing where you found yourself in a victim mentality. That is the ultimate case of I lost my energy to someone. I gave them power. And I'm defining it as the same energy we need to rebuild ourselves. We voluntarily give up to someone else or some other circumstance. And it's very fragile.
Very fragile.
I spent a whole week, supplementing and eating perfectly and training. And then I went and got pissed off and let somebody throw me off the horse for days. I might as well not have done any of that because my emotional state canceled all those powerful dividends I could have got.
You started to build this Lego set, and then it took you a week to build it, and then you smacked it with the back of your hand and destroyed the whole thing like that. And it wasn't even you that did it. It was somebody else that influenced it, that let you do it. Like, how about this? Fuck what they say and think.
Yeah.
Don't let that be a part of your existence, your reality, your outcome. The better I got at getting rid of people, not listening to people, especially people who fucking know nothing.
Yeah.
Like when I realize that I'm responsible for me, I make my reality. If I fuck up, it's my fault. I didn't blame people. I got so much further. And then when I stopped listening to people who have no fucking idea, who haven't even come to remotely close to what I'm doing, or close to the people that I listen to, what they do. Wow.
Well, then consider this. Success and consistency, everything someone does not, it's human nature to be triggered by someone who's doing better or achieving more. It just is. And of course, they haven't done this type of personal work. I'll never be done with it, but I think I'm identifying the nature of the work, which is just overcoming your base self, your base needs, which includes, what am I going to eat today? The basic stuff. Your brain's like, that's like first grade stuff to the brain. It's like, can we do some PhD level cool stuff? It's like, well, some people can't still get past first grade because they're stuck on pizza and beer and,
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And so the emotional, the re-engineering of the game board for people is the way to get the weight off and keep it off. It's not about, eating less, exercise more. It's like this smarter, not harder. It's leveraging. It's exactly the physics of jiu-jitsu kind of a thing.
What you're saying is it's more than just eating less and exercising more.
That's the boring part. That's like when we get our emotional, ducks in a row, the willpower, the cravings, which includes the nutrition, those are just going to go away. The living in stress, which drove us to the stress eating, that goes away. So, because it's such an unnatural condition to wind up with, being severely overweight, that's going to go away too when you get the emotional continuity of future forward projecting and basically saying how I see myself is already here. Like myself, I'm thankful for, I heard this too. Don't wait to feel a certain way. Feel it now like it's already happened.
Fuck, hold on. Say that one more time. I'm gonna have you reiterate what you just said. Say it.
Well, what I'm getting is this. Here's the deal. We know by what we see around us and in our own lives when we've been delayed in a goal, it's like I'm stuck in the past. Even like a 20-year-old trauma or something. It's like your brain doesn't know the difference that it was 20 years ago or today based on the inputs, because it was kind of like a fingerprint. It's like a snapshot. And it's basically like a setting in your nervous system, and you're reliving it involuntarily and now voluntarily because you're clinging to it even when you're invited to let it go, because you really can't unless, like the bear, it's like, here's something better. And then even the alligator will let go of something it's just holding on to. But people do it too. We relive the past. And if we relive the past and romanticize it like it's my diagnosis, it's my vice and victimhood, you will have that as your future, like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Oh gosh.
And you don't have to try for that.
Dude, there's a reason why that movie exists. It was so easy to write.
Well, yeah, because that's what I'm saying. It's a habit. That's why I start with people like, what do you do without being coached? Or you don't have to memorize Groundhog Day. I'll get up and have the same drudgery. Oh, like, F my boss, traffic.
Without even thinking, without being told what to do.
Yeah.
What do you get up and do normally? That's the pattern.
So
how do we interrupt these areas of that to fix the
So
problem?
here's the deal. To include physical things like weight loss, and again, that's kind of the boring part. It will come when we get our ducks in a row, but it will take a little bit of a leaping into the unknown of the future, which is where creativity happens, which is where growth happens. To like one of your students who's like about to get talked out of coming back, you're like, just imagine yourself with the community. They're going to have to be uncomfortable because we all will to grow. We all will, but
it takes discomfort to grow.
We never feel better when we overcome our own fear of the unknown.
Such a great feeling.
And it doesn't matter how small it is. So that's why victory is like, I did something I never did. That was badass.
That's why we start with the small stuff, dude.
You have to.
Yeah, it's just like people in debt. I tell people like, someone's in debt and they say, hey, Shannon, man, what do you think I should do? I say, oh, well, I'll tell you what. First thing you should do is find the very smallest little debt you have and attack it. Do anything and everything you can. Stop buying unnecessary shit. Pay it off. And you're going to see how good that feels.
Yeah.
Right? Start there.
Plug a hole.
Right. Plug a hole. Then you can patch. Then the next one, then the next one, the next one. I don't care what the interest rate is on this card. Get rid of the small ones first. Then that is practice.
There's an analogy you didn't even know you're using, but you've used it a million times. It's the bucket one where there are leaks in it, holes in it, or a boat taking on water. Mm-hmm. That's the water's energy. We're losing it. So plug the holes, keep it. You need it to rebuild. And so again, lots of parallels here. And so, we could say when you stop the victimhood, you're replugging holes. You take it on yourself.
Holes.
That's my energy to rebuild. And until when you said
stop listening to dumb people.
Stop
listening to assholes.
If you want to have a better future, there's no harm. You're not lying to yourself when you say, I want to practice feeling like it feels then as if it's already happened. How about that? It's no less valid than lying to yourself about the past that was in the past. It's like, it's 20 years ago, but I'm still reliving it and I can't let it go. Oh, it's just those are the times, or those are the worst.
Well, that's
times.
Suffering.
But those are my times. So you can't take that away.
Yeah, but that's suffering.
But it's my familiar suffering, so people hold on to it.
Unfortunately, that's true.
They romanticize it.
The worst thing you
that's
can
my
hold,
identity, man.
Right. But the worst thing you can do is hold on to harm.
Right.
Well, I would rather know that I held on to something that was harming me and eventually let it go when I realized it was harming me than to dwell on the fact that I wasted all that time. No, I don't have any more time. I have a finite amount of time.
That's right.
I understand that. The fact of the matter is the more I hold on to that, the worse it's going to be. And I'm going to go to the end of time with it. No. I'm going to stop right now. And then I'm going to hey, what can I do to better what little bit of time I have? Because your life is so long, and you don't even know how long it is. My grandmother's 98. How many people live to be 98? Well, not even 1% of the population. Right?
Well,
I'm 41.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to 98. Do I want to fuck around before I find out? Or do I just want to fucking do everything I can to be the best person I can, to be as healthy and as happy as I can, without literally saying, what's the definition of happiness? Well, let me tell you what my definition of happiness is. The definition of happiness, in my opinion, is the pursuit of health, which makes you feel better. And there's nothing better than feeling good. And I don't mean like getting high and feeling good.
Yeah.
I mean whatever it is that you feel good. If you want to smoke some weed and it makes you feel good, but you're still also doing stuff that makes you fine. You're healthy, you're wealthy, done. But if you want to have energy every day, if you want to see the world and not see it in a comatose state, or not see it in a wheelchair or on a walker.
You're gonna be active.
You want to, be able to hike.
Engage.
You want to be able, right. to be able to like dance at this fucking club.
You're not a spectator.
You're not a spectator, but not even just like you want to actually be mentally capable of understanding what's going on, even as a spectator.
Cognitive.
Like, right,
Yeah.
cognitive.
Yeah.
Right. That's the way I want to see
Yeah.
the world. So you want to wait till you're 70, 80 years old to do that and broke?
So that's why I see the nutrition, kind of the actual kind of the medical side as the bridge, because a lot of people, myself included, might lack the confidence to, so to speak, take that skydive, you know, like try jujitsu or try a new experience. Like, give yourself a chance to even visualize a future. Again, it's not a lie to yourself to like practice like it's already here. Help take that food and base need thing off the table.
Yeah.
By not being a slave to your cravings all day, so you can
Yes.
actually like flex your imagination, and then watch the weight
Because
come
your
off.
cravings are just noise.
Because you're
Just like
out
the
of.
toxic people in your life, it's just noise that will do anything and everything
No.
they can to keep you down.
You
dude.
can't survive and thrive at the same time. You can't be. I like the words in terms of wealth and health. You want to feel abundant. Like if I share $1, I might not have enough for me. It's like, no, if you want more, give one now, and you'll probably have like 10 coming back.
Yes. Yes, I talked about this with Duncan in my last podcast.
So-
It's like we tip people very well,
Yeah.
especially people we go see often,
Yeah.
because we know
Yeah.
that whether it comes back to us or not, we're paying it in an area where it's going to be beneficial.
Well, here's
that $500 tip we gave somebody is going to turn into thousands of dollars elsewhere
Well,
and thousands of dollars elsewhere.
I'll try to keep it simple, and it's like almost like daily practice to even phrase stuff. But that's one of the areas I geek out in. Like, how can I explain this in a cool way? Here's the thing: in the quantum physical world, I like things that are involuntary. Like, it's not just a cool notion. Like, if I try it to like be generous, you know, maybe it'll happen. It's like, unless you are, it can't come to you. And in other words, if I don't see, if I keep fixating on my lack of something, I'll never get it. I only get it if I stop chasing it. I'll only get it if I stop fixating on it. That's money, love, health, everything. So you have to set it aside like it's already here. Because actually in the so-called quantum, which it's clearly here, like don't go, you know, don't bring a toaster into the bathtub. You know, it's, you know, stuff you can't see, or you don't see the wind, but it's there. You know, dogs are a lot more sensitive. In other words, we have very limited things. Just because we can't see it or imagine it, don't mean it's not there.
Yeah.
So in terms of the quantum, the very, very, very microscopic world, which is most things, like what we can touch is a very small percentage of what's
Everything is down to atoms.
Yeah. So in 99.999% of an atom is like air, nothing, but it's measurable. The hard part is the very, very small middle, you know. In other words, what we don't see is the majority of what's going on. And to me, it makes sense. I've heard that the possibilities of what could happen, all the good, bad things, and it's depending on how you want it or what you put out, get back. Those possibilities are kind of already written out there in the ether. You don't have to go making them up and chasing them. They're gonna, if you can handle them energetically with your attitude and your projection of like, it's now, I'm thankful now. I'm not going to wait to feel thankful when I get it, because if I wait till then, I ain't never going to come.
It's like you said earlier, like
That's how I look at it.
Don't wait to feel like something.
Well, then and only then can
Feel like it, and then
well, I can't handle it when it comes. I'll miss it.
well, that's opportunity too.
As basically
You
like
know?
a magnet. If I want to draw the opportunity, I got to stop looking for it. That means I'm somebody who can handle it once it comes, like
leadership. We
like a
talk about-
coincidence.
In leadership, we talk about opportunity is like opportunity doesn't fall in your lap while you're sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
You prepare for something, you educate yourself, then you're more likely to see the opportunity when it comes by.
And
then you know what it looks like, and then you know how to grab onto it because you prepped for it.
and you've been doing the preparation.
That's right.
And you've got your emotional bank elevated, so you can take it on. You can picture yourself basically having gratitude to say, it's like it happened now. So if I say, hey, thanks, man, for something that it maybe hadn't happened yet, but I'm thanking you in advance or whatever. It's a state of mind. And then I kind of move on and focus on something else. It's like, well, there it is, maybe tenfold type of thing. Whereas the begrudging bit that a lot of us are stumbling with every day, some longer than others, you know, myself included, it's like, oh, especially financially, you're always like, ooh, I better watch out. No, be abundant. it will come back.
It will come back, dude. And that's the economy in a whole. And let me simplify it for people. If everybody in the entire United States just stopped spending their money, decided, oh, I don't want to spend my money because the economy's bad, guess what happens? Nobody receives money because everyone stopped spending.
That's right.
Right? Oh, I'm not going to go buy food.
Yeah.
Then the grocery stores go, no one's buying food. Oh, shit.
Can't order as much, you know.
This food's going to rot. I'm going to lose my job. Then the store is not going to exist. And everybody just says, I'm going to stop buying this, buying that.
Yeah. Chain reaction. Kind of.
Then that's detrimental.
Yeah.
So the word recession going around, that in itself is more dangerous than the actual thing that's going on. Yeah. And that's terrifying because a government can't just decide, oh, we're going into a recession. Mm-hmm. Even if they fucking like do things to try to like manipulate it.
Yeah.
The people can prevent that if they produce.
Yeah.
Because what is riches? I'll tell you what riches are. I'm going to simplify it again because people are simple.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's easier to learn something if it's easy than if it's complicated.
Yeah.
This isn't fucking rocket science.
Yep.
We're going to take a village. The whole village, everybody in the village has a particular strength and they do the job within their strength. Mm-hmm. The village just wakes up one day and says, I'm going to stop hunting. I'm going to stop farming. I'm going to stop constructing the tents.
Yeah.
I'm not going to build this fire.
I've had enough.
No one does anything. Guess what happens? Nothing gets done. Guess what happens? People don't eat.
Yeah.
They don't sleep in their shelter. They don't, right?
That's right.
Now, but let's pretend everybody in the village walks out of their tents and says, I am going to do anything and everything I can to produce, to help, to make possibilities. I am going to go hunt. That's what I do. I am going to go farm. That's what I'm going to do. I am going to build this teepee, this structure. I am going to build this fire. I am going to look over these children, make sure they don't do something, educate them, make sure they don't do something they're not supposed to because they're malleable, right? Everyone thrives.
Yeah.
Food happens because the hunters have hunted. Food happens because the farmers have farmed. Sleep is possible because they have a shelter because somebody constructed, they maintained it. Mm-hmm. Kids don't die or get hurt or lost because somebody is overseeing them. And the fire is there for the heat and for to cook food because somebody built it. Everybody thrives.
100% right.
Because if you, as a human being, produce selflessly, if everyone did that, if everyone just went out and produced and didn't expect entitlement and didn't just expect to be paid and given, but don't do anything to give back.
Don't reciprocate. And,
then everyone would be better off.
Well, you're exactly right. And here's another corollary. I like the idea that it is automatically that way. It's kind of like a law of the universe. Like unless we have that mindset, you can't bring it to you. So it's not just a good idea. It is how it works. And I'm starting to experience that firsthand, like the scarcity model of finances again, or emotions, love or whatever opportunity. You're worrying that, oh no, what am I going to do? This is a slow month. What am I going to do? Look at the checkbook. Oh, what am I going to do? That guarantees it's going to stay that way.
It guarantees it's going to stay that way because you're not only thinking about it, but when you think about it, you act on it, and then when you act on it, it becomes.
Well, and guess what? Involuntarily, here's the way the mind works that's in charge of everything. Like the mind is like the actual thinking, applying brain. It kicks out the nervous system pharmacy automatically of stress versus creation. So you can't do both at the same time. So the stress model is what we're talking about that keeps people sick, fat, broken down, premature. Yeah. That's just how it works. When we're scarce, when we're saving $5 and worried about where our next meal is going to come from, that's survival. So we're adapted to just be very unhealthy and very short-lived in that model. So when we're abundant, we not only flip the switch of the nervous system, there's different hormones that come into play when we're relaxed and we're building. And that includes weight loss. And fertility. Yes. All that stuff.
Yes.
Those go hand in hand. So
when I was...
That's the division.
When I was going through the stress, anxiety, depression,
Yep.
can I just say that that in itself created more stress, anxiety,
Yeah.
and depression, and poverty,
Yeah.
and suffering, and my wife questioning me,
Yeah.
doing everything she could to help me, doing everything she could. Like, and man, let me tell you something right now. Without my wife, I would not be here. Man,
Oh, yeah.
she is not just an example of an amazing woman. She is the absolute definition of
Great partner, team player, right? All that stuff.
toughness, adversity.
Oh, yeah.
Like, man, wow.
That's awesome.
When I realized that all the shit that was happening to me because I let it control me up here,
Yep.
and I took that and said, no, I'm gonna put it in the hands of this person that I trust as a professional. I am going to trust what my wife says. I am going to do the opposite of what is keeping me here. Because here I am. Here I am unhealthy, depressed, anxiety.
Yep.
If I don't change something that puts me over here,
Yeah.
the trajectory, turning the wheel a little, then I stay there.
Yep.
So wouldn't insanity be doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome? Yeah,
That's all it is.
Right. But I knew, like, wait a minute, I'm not insane. I think I'm a smart guy. I'm not the smartest guy, but I'll tell you this right now. I know that guy over there is fucking way smarter than me.
Yep.
I know my wife is smart, and she's outside looking in. Fuck, she sees it better than I do. So I went over here. I got uncomfortable because you have to get out of your comfort zone to grow.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, go to any professional athlete. By the way, I have friends who are professional athletes, and they're going to be on this podcast, and I'm excited for that because they're going to help get information to people who may be curious about, like, oh man, I think I could be this. I could think I could be that. Well, if you think it, that's the first thing.
It's possible.
You're right. So that's the first thing. But you're not far from doing, man.
Yeah.
If you think it, now how do you do it? Well, if you sit inside a room as a genius with no books, no windows, no doors, you're useless. If you're a 9-year-old boy that wants to be a football player, a basketball player, a baseball player, you will not be that unless you get out there and fucking try.
Yeah.
Fail, lose,
Yep.
get made fun of, get picked on. Don't listen to those.
Be willing to do that.
Don't listen to them. Get in front of the coaches that say, hey, this is how you do this, this is how you do that. And then from there, you will go in the right direction. Because not just the universe, the energy, simplicity. Simplicity is like the car doesn't exist unless somebody said, the horse in the buggy? What if we could do the buggy without the horse?
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Ah, fuck you. We
Yeah.
should kill you for even thinking such thing.
Yeah. This is the way we've always done it.
Well,
We can't improve upon
the
this.
horse exists.
Yeah.
The buggy exists. Can't we merge them?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the buggy can't mate with the horse.
Yeah.
But I mean, how do
Yeah.
we? And you get out there and you fucking do it.
Yeah.
And if you've seen it possible, it's possible. Can I say something? I think every state in the United States, most, has a professional basketball team, football team,
Yeah.
baseball team.
Yeah.
Right? How many universities within that state?
A handful.
And if you can make it to university via scholarship, whatever, doing that, you got a good fucking possibility of being a professional athlete. And I would rather die knowing I tried than die knowing I fucking regret it.
Yeah. No matter what field, sure.
I started jiu-jitsu at 31 years old. And 6 months into my jiu-jitsu journey,
Why did you first want to start it?
I didn't think I could do it.
Before that, what was your initial interest in it?
I was suffering from anxiety, depression. I was in
Just
therapy.
like watching it, I think of that could
I
be a
was
good
on.
outlet.
I was addicted to pills, trying to wean off.
Yeah.
And
Good outlet.
And my therapist said, Shannon, you need to exercise. Right? So he would take me out of his office and make me run sprints on the sidewalk. This was after I was agoraphobic. I wouldn't even leave the house. I'd stand up and feel like my heart rate would get too high and I'd have a heart attack. He'd have me doing sprints. And then I told him one day, I said, man, I was watching some videos of people doing jujitsu. And he was like, I'll never be able to do that. And he was like, whoa. He's like, well, if you say it, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
He was like,
if you say you can or say
now
you can't, you're right.
Do it. Now you have to do it. Now you have to do it. And I was like, but what if I can't? And he was like, whoa. 6 months ago, you couldn't leave the house. Now you're running sprints. Shannon.
Yeah. It's all relative. Man.
I'm telling you, as a professional, you can.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, I already made up my mind months ago. I trust this guy.
If you can even imagine it, you can do it.
Dude. Not only did I not believe I could do something I saw, I remember one of the videos, Benson Henderson. He was a brown belt at the time.
Oh, wow.
And he's from Tacoma. Benson Henderson. Watching him, I was like, I'll never be able to do that. And 6 or 7 years into my jiu-jitsu journey, I became, pound for pound, one of the best jiu-jitsu grapplers in Northwest. Well recognized by many people. Eric Dahlberg himself, early into my jiu-jitsu career, stopped me in the middle of class and said, Shannon, Chanoosh, my nickname, he's like, I'm excited to see you in a few years. You're going to be one of the best grapplers.
Mm-hmm. He could see it.
Yeah, of course he can, because he's a fucking icon.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the? I was like, what? This person's telling me this. And this is a guy who trains UFC fighters.
Yeah, he's got the best eye.
Yeah.
All the skills.
And then many years after that, hanging out with him, he was like, he told me, he's like, you're hands down one of the best grapplers to ever come out of my gym. And that also was like, holy shit. And then 12 years prior to that, I thought I would never be able to even do it, dude.
Well, it's a great statement, because that's a big classic example for a lifetime pursuit. But it can be anything.
Anything.
It can be what we're talking about in your daily game board. When they say, that's easy for you to say. Maybe you said that to your therapist at the time, like you thought that maybe it crossed your mind, like it's easy for you to say. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's not get too extreme here, But again, it has to start there. And when you said, like we've heard before, but it's well said, it can't be stated often enough. Repeating the same thing over and over, expecting different result. That's what the embracing the past Groundhog Day thing is. Like, I can repeat this, no problem. And I love it because it's mine. I don't care if it comes along with weight and, infertility and a bum knee,
depression,
diabetes, and cancer.
Yeah,
I'll take it because it's mine. I get attention. I get excuses made on my behalf.
Let me just say this: outside of being a professional, in front of a professional, diabetes, overweight, cancer, depression, some of the most abundant illnesses, heart disease, some of the most abundant illnesses in the United States.
Billions spent.
More than most countries. Come on, dude. There's got to be something to that.
And more spent to deal with it.
More spent to deal with it.
Than all the other developed countries. And we're still, at the states we know, we just look around and people are in the worst shape ever. And it's really I think we're really onto something with what we observe, because we're qualified because we're applying our senses. There's too many excuses, too much victimhood, not enough studenthood.
And they're taught to be that way.
Yeah. Well, they're empowered in it. They're not given, kind of a sobriety thing. Like, you can do this, and you got to start internalizing that energy. And just, it's an exciting thing. It takes multiple podcasts, I'm sure, but it's just an exciting thing because it can't be repeated too much. Or everyone would be doing it. And if you love doing it, it's a pleasure. It's not work. These are because the passion is to make corollaries between different fields. There's really a lot of threads in common with what we ended up doing in life, because we all have to have our health to do any of it well.
Right.
For very long.
If you listen, the wealthiest people I know, the happiest people I know are people who are healthy. And let me, you know what? I'll take it a step further. There's a comedian. He's Bert Kreischer, man. He's funny as shit, man. He's a funny fucking dude. He's in his late 40s, early 50s. I don't know. I think he's like 50. He loves a drink. He's a comedian. He fucking loves a party. But he knows the detriment it does on his body. But he loves it so much. Do you know what he does? He goes and sees doctors, naturopaths, professionals. He exercises, supplements, eats as healthy as possible, knowing that he's more likely to live because if he loves to drink and party, that he's willing to do that.
That's what we were talking about.
So he'll IV drip, he'll fucking take vitamin supplements, he'll exercise.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Bert Kreischer, he's a gut. He takes his shirt off the machine like that.
Yeah.
Dude, the guy's a fucking genius. He's happy as fuck. He's got a wife, kids, and he knows.
I guarantee he's probably going to get to his 80s and not,
Easily. Because, he drinks and parties, but he takes such good care of himself.
He's got a strong mental state, a strong emotional network, support network.
Yeah.
That's such a huge deal. Because by the flip side, maybe some of the wealthiest but, most isolated type people might be the most miserable, so their money is very limited, we'll say.
Yeah.
It can be a fruit of doing some other things well. I'd rather have that personally. It can last longer, enjoy it more, share it more.
Even having money, even having money may not be enough.
Yeah.
Because if you could do all this stuff with it, but you're alone.
The novelty of any of these kinds of things, it does wear off, and that's a limitation of the brain too. Brain chemicals like especially dopamine. Like, okay, now what? The novelty of whatever accomplishment, whatever fantasy or like pursuit, addiction, and there's not even judgment to it. It's just like when someone says they want to go in a certain direction, a sustained level of high achievement. It's like we're gonna have to pick our spots on some of these pursuits. Otherwise, it's like you get bored. The novelty does wear off. So you're going to have to just, like addiction in general. But so the health thing makes it, and trying some new things and getting out of our comfort zone tends to kind of reset and flex our ability to appreciate novelty in our achievements. We're always motivated. And never bored.
Let's talk about some billionaires. They all got to be where they're at with one thing, but then they go, I got money now. I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
They do something different. Elon Musk, Tesla, this, that, and he's an engineer, so naturally, space travel. Jeff Bezos, selling books online. He even tried to sell construction services online. That went bad, by the way. That's a whole nother conversation. Also, space travel.
Right.
Bill Gates, Microsoft, software engineering. Him, Paul Allen, did this thing. Paul Allen passed away, rest in peace, but then Bill sells Microsoft, has the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He's trying to do something different, and in turn, does something different. Mm-hmm. Like you said, people. And I'm not saying what they're doing was bad. It's not. That's just them going I did this. Maybe I'm capable of doing it. Yeah. They're just trying to do more.
Get a little bit of a complex sometimes,
Yeah, and seeing if they can add value in a different way.
Yeah.
Whether they're good at it or not, they just got the funding.
Yeah.
They just got fuck you money right.
They kind of has a hyper sense of qualification. Like, I got money, so I'm hyper
and
qualified.
That's a large scale, but me is a small scale. I'm not a rich person.
Yeah.
I'm not nowhere near. But I know that I can afford to pay money to help people. And so, for instance, I do like to earn money. I like my nice house with the view, convenient location. I like having a nice, big, safe vehicle, 2 of them. I like being able to go to nice restaurants and eat delicious, good food because it's what makes me happy. Well, so don't be mad at me for wanting to, people can't be mad at me for wanting to do more, but I don't do so by taking. I have 2 construction companies, a jiu-jitsu school, a condo. I'm opening another LLC. I'm going to be doing custom homes.
Yeah.
with a partner who is also very experienced with it. Like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
we're just like
Kind of adding
just-
value.
Yeah, we're just smart. We just know we just don't want to take our money and put it somewhere that's going to be useless.
Yeah.
So this podcast,
It's bigger than the money.
I don't make money on this podcast. I actually pay out of
Ideas,
pocket.
yeah.
Right. This is me paying to help people.
Yeah. This is a good vehicle.
Right.
To do that. Good platform.
I don't expect anything from this except helping people.
Yeah.
And one day if it turns into something else, fine, whatever. But I didn't do it for that.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I know that 12 year ago me, where I was at, thank God I had people in my corner to help me go, hey, dude, this isn't real, man. This isn't the Shannon I know. This isn't the Shannon that has potential. Trust me. And I go, you know what? I trust you because in this circle of insanity, nothing's happening. I got to turn
That's
over
right.
the leaf. I got to turn the wheel.
Well-
right? So here I am.
Well, not only outer voices, but inner voices limit us too. Like when we're in these patterns, right, that are repeated, like Groundhog Day, it gets to a point, just like muscle memory, the body can say, you're supposed to be pissed off right now, or what do you think you're doing? This is when we go and cry all night, or
Jesus.
you're not who you said you want to be. Even if you're telling yourself, we're going to do this, I'm happy, I'm ready for change. The body's so used to not being successful.
So what you're saying is
They
there's
talk you out of it.
people.
And that's a nervous system thing.
Right.
That's survive. It's no, I'm going to thrive. It's no, we're just surviving.
So you're saying
That's who
there's
we are.
people that live a life of adversity, acrimony, in a stress environment, and don't even realize that they don't have to do that. They're just being
right. Well, no, exactly. It takes personal repetition, I've heard it compared to just the same as athletes rehearsing their golf swing or whatever it is, and they're visualizing it before it happens, the free throw or whatever. It's you can rehearse emotional states. What's it going to feel like to be wealthy? What's it going to feel like to have the relationship? What's it going to feel like? There's no harm in pretending it's a contemporaneous, current thing. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to have to feel that way if you ever get there, or how are you going to feel? Practice feeling that way. You're going to need those.
practice feeling that way. Like you said earlier, I love that.
You have to, or so when you get there,
people say, "Oh, I want to feel different." Well, then choose to feel that way, and then the practice will come. The things that require to feel that way will come. Mike the Mouth, the professional boxer, good friend of mine. I actually talked to him a couple of days ago.
One of my great buds.
One of the most amazing boxers in the United States said, Shanoosh, and he gave me the name Shanoosh, the nickname. He says, Shanoosh, feeling's a choice.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And I was like, wait. I can just choose to feel better.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's a big responsibility.
And you're talking about a guy who has done astronomical things compared to the average human being.
Yeah.
But lives so simple because he knows that complication is the absolute opposite of. So he's like, Shanoosh, feeling's a choice.
Yeah, and
And
that
the
goes
rest will
that
follow.
goes
The
that
rest
goes
will follow.
against what does that go against? The victimhood, because no one's stopping you except yourself.
That's right.
But a lot of us want to, and I've done it. You want to blame and put that responsibility on somebody else, and that's again wasting your energy.
Wasting your energy.
It just works that way. That's
Yeah.
not a guess.
Wasting
that's how it
your
works.
time dwelling, analyzing, trying to fix something that somebody else implemented this thought into you, and then you're trying to do all this, but in the end, it won't even matter because that won't change.
if
the
we-
source won't change.
No,
you
if
just
we-
have to cut out the source.
If we want to reduce it to some original points, it's blaming others or whatever will keep you fat.
Yes,
Will keep you sick.
blaming McDonald's will keep you fat.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, just waiting. I love different songs about it and all the TV. We would think that the people that are given a lot of attention have got it all figured out. They're like a higher species that doesn't have to worry about victimhood, even though that's pretty much what it looks like certain people survive on and get rewarded for it. It doesn't really work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
They got to do their work too. Just because they're getting paid, to kind of stir things up. Everybody's got to do their work. And when it comes to like the medical side, absolutely, you're not going to get anywhere without it. You got to want it, and then you got to do it. And until you're ready, it's not going to happen. So the second you feel elevated enough to really do something a little different, no matter how small that change is, you're already on your way. Like the second you feel, I've heard the second you feel abundant, you're already generating wealth. You're already bringing it to you. The second you feel thankful.
Yeah. When I chose, by the way, Devin, is that okay? Are we? Okay, I just see the sound thing not doing it.
Oh no, we're ready.
Okay, sorry. All right, so what you're saying is, if I choose to pick up this pen and write down a word, I'm going to write down the word. I made it possible.
Yeah.
He's okay, Deb. I made it possible because I made the choice. I made the realization that if I pick up that pen and use my hand to write this word, I'm in power.
Yeah.
I'm in control. So there's something. Is it safe to say that, religion aside, no opposition towards religion at all? I have no opposition towards religion.
Yeah.
I don't really practice it, whatever.
Yeah.
But there is a spiritual thing, a universal thing, a being that says, hey, my brain is reactive. Oh, hot stove, I'm going to move. Oh, I eat food, I'm going to get fat. Oh, I eat good food, it's going to build muscle. I work out. My brain is reactive, but I can say, hey, wait a minute, stop. I'm going to pick up this pen and write down the word. What if I picked up a hammer and swung it at a nail on a piece of wood before we know how to build the house? What if I decided that, you know what? I want this. I can have it.
Yeah.
And it starts with believing that the thought is the first thing, and the action is what makes it possible.
When we talk about the words, you hear them a little bit more now, but they're very applicable in this energetic conversation, like frequency and vibration. So we just contemplate, like every thought. It's like the radio station thing. Every thought, all the range of emotions we have, they have their own certain frequency, distinct vibration. Like, 104.7, the blaze, or the rock or the mountain or whatever.
All of that, yeah.
104.7 happiness, 103.6, joy. And you can tune into, and they're therefore either repel or attract that based on your state of mind, and especially cemented by writing it down too. It's like drawing it even stronger towards realization. That's just the way it seems to work. And again, all these, the majority of what's out there that we can't see, it's kind of in there already. We don't have to kind of invent it and hope it shows up. It tends to show up when we get our emotions high enough to start following our thoughts. And then it's just like a snowball effect till it happens. Especially when we stop thinking about it and stop looking for it because it's already coming.
So sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm standing up because.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, he's just being disruptive over here. He wants kitty treat.
He's a neat little guy, that's for sure. Well, I like him.
I like that. 107.
Sorry, I had to put him in timeout. Hold on. All right, 1 second. 3, 2, 1. So. You just said it, like radio waves. Like, we can tune in a radio station through an antenna through slow vibrations in the air?
Can we? And here's the thing: as we contemplate this, can we see radio waves?
Can't see them.
But how do we know they're there? They're clearly there.
They're obviously there because, whoa, like Wi-Fi,
That's the ultimate example.
like 5G or whatever. Like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. So what you're saying is like,
Emotions and thoughts have
but how did
signatures.
how did that all become, unless people themselves called the people who invented it or built it, satellites, radio towers, cell phones, like wow, that's a thing that's important to people.
Well, yeah, exactly. Here's a good way to visualize it. When it doesn't even seem to make sense, but there's been experiments and measurements and tests and like large scale, retreats. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a pretty cool guy, very famous guy. I've listened to a ton of his videos, very famous. But I like how people I say like every band has a guitar. Every chef has flour and sugar, but they're not all created equal. They do special things with like the same box of Legos. It's how you describe a thing, or like bring heavy themes to the bigger audience by the way they describe it. I consider myself kind of a scaled version of that. Like that's why analogies are cool. It's like everybody has a right to know it if they want to. It's there to be discovered. It's there to be learned, and you take it as far as you want. Like you in grappling, like you could have said,
yeah.
"I'll stop here. I'm good." Or you could have just kept going and going and going and realize your potential. It's up to you. And, the future is unlimited for any of us as much as we want. But it includes understanding these concepts that aren't just meant for a small crowd. And they tie into how our health operates. And even to the point that because it's measurable, if that matters, it does. So you can actually prove it to any skeptic. It's like, well, no, people are always like, show me studies. Like they're there if you want to look. If you choose to be ignorant, that's your problem. I chose to do some deep dives and find out that thoughts, they basically send out like an electrical Wi-Fi.
Wow.
And feelings, so kind of from the brain. This is kind of a Dispenza thing that I like how he describes it. And it sounds like a lot of the way I've been describing it for a long time with, hey, your brain doesn't know the difference if you're being chased by a real bear or an imaginary bear.
Yeah,
It's
fear
the
is
same.
fear.
Fear is
Yeah.
fear. So
and some people talk about
I've
like
said that for 20 years.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, not to drop his name, but he even says like the worst thing that ever happened to a person is the worst thing to ever happen to a person. Whether it's comparable to what happened to you,
Yes.
this person may be scared of a mouse that
Yes.
is absolutely terrifying to them, just as terrifying as you being scared of a fucking bear.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking crazy.
Well,
dude.
and again, it's all the imagined versus real stuff because the majority in our like cushy like office life or like talking about grounding, like shoes, rubber tires, beds, indoor living, it's all in our heads. It's very real, even in the physiological impact of like keeping us fat and keeping us sick, but it doesn't mean it's there. And on the flip side, we can imagine a great future and practice that, even though it seems unattainable, by the same way we lie to
Well,
ourselves about our
That's
past.
just it. There's a reason why a lot of people don't do that because they feel like it's unattainable because they're told it is
Told that.
unattainable. And that their creative mind is stripped from them early on. Creative mind is what creates pursuit of dreams, right?
So
to believe
that's-
it, to do it.
That's why I
Yeah.
like the expression of an elevated emotion. Like there's no harm, there's no crime in believing like it's already here. And then learning that it actually you have to feel it first to even realize it. You're not gonna if you don't visualize it first.
Right.
So you might as well do it. It's not a crime.
Exactly. Holy shit.
So I'm
you're
so
absolutely-
thankful for my $1 million. Whether it comes in the form of $1 million or not, it's like you have to have that like strength to put that much weight on the bar, like emotionally, to do it. You can't just show up and like lift the emotional
No, you
weight
cannot.
or like attract that person, that opportunity, that money, or just that the biggest one actually. And it's not even those things; those might come. But I'm finding it's in like overcoming of your own self-doubt, overcoming your own sense of lack of self-belief. Because I find myself letting go of that. Even
Yeah.
it's like, it's already here. I feel like, like I said, the opportunities are kind of there. And so you don't need to look for them or create them out of thin air. Cause
So you don't even get afraid anymore when things happen to you.
No.
You just deal with them knowing that you're
Yeah.
going to figure it
it
out.
represents something that is like within the range of things you could tolerate. It's like, definitely not the worst thing. Or if it reaches a new threshold of worse, it's like, well, I'm still here, type of thing.
So,
and it's my responsibility.
So so one of my businesses is a construction company, and it's not a small construction company. It's not super big and not commercial. I mean, it's not a small construction company. There's a lot of moving parts. And when I first started it, it was very simple. It was just me, did small jobs for one, like whatever. But like now it's at a caliber that, like, you know, stuff happens. I do things to try to prevent things from happening, but something's always going to happen. And it's not a matter of like being able to prevent things from happening 100%. There's always going to be stuff that happens. It's a matter of being able to like understand how to deal with what happened, fix what happened, move on from what happened, because it's going to happen, and you're going to have your worst days. And I don't even get mad anymore or bat an eye. For instance, when like I have a customer who I'm doing a big remodel for their home, they had to move out of their home and rent a house for X amount of months. And then within the time that we had allocated, something happened with the cabinets and it took longer than expected. And that's out of my hands. I can't help that. But the customer had to pay an extra $4,600 to stay another month for something that wasn't their fault.
Yep.
It wasn't my fault. It just is.
Yeah.
So what do? I say, hey, you know, this happened. I'm sorry. However, guess what? That extra month that you have to stay there, I'll write you a check. You know how grateful they are? They're like, oh man, thank you so much. And yeah, it's a lot of money, $4,600, but on a $500,000 job,
well, also,
it's fucking not even, like, don't even consider trying to fight them on it. I would rather just write them the check, apologize, help them understand that this happens and have the reputation than to try to like.
Well, one of the things that the lessons we're getting at is not just in the form of money, but it's the best example. The second you get it, you know you can make more.
Yeah.
And so it's like, as soon as I have it, I'm giving it, because I can always make more.
I'm not afraid of running out because I know how to get it.
Well,
Duncan and I talked about that on the last podcast. Is like, you could take everything from a man, but he has his knowledge, right?
Yeah.
He'll get it back.
The way what he does with the Legos, what he does with the ingredients.
Yes.
So it's like we said, times, and we can extend that too, but we don't know what's going to happen, but we can always make more money per se.
Right. And we were talking about, we got a buddy of mine.
Abundant mindset. And maybe you're going to get 10x eventually from that.
Oh, yeah.
Referrals from those grateful people.
Right.
Right? Maybe.
But we were talking about a buddy of mine who lives right up the hill from me, as a matter of fact. And he's in his 60s. He's lost everything like 3 times.
Wow.
Like everything.
Wow.
And he's a multimillionaire.
He's back.
He's back.
Because that's who he is.
That's who he is. Because, like I said in the last episode, it's like you can take, you can't take a man's knowledge unless you put a bullet in his head. Mm-hmm. Or, so.
That's a good feeling. And I think that comes with this abundant. Again, that's a good word. I don't think that's likely to be the next literary.
It's a great feeling.
It's a good word.
Let me say this.
It's abundance.
Let me
it's
say
all
this.
Purpose.
Let me say this. So.
I like it.
If you live in a village.
Yeah.
And that village is there, you do your part, they're doing their part, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
Well, and it does get back to that principle, because it's like, in the right spirit, it's like, no, you're going to work to eat.
Right.
And you'll know it's coming back. So, but you'll also know that if you don't do yours, there won't be enough to come back to you. So there will, if you do. Everyone does their part.
That's right.
I think it's like the opposite of what we're seeing. It's actually the student versus victim thing that we're seeing so much. The scarcity and then the blaming, we're seeing a lot of that, and then accusing, which by nature is a very bad loss of energy, and those people don't even know it. So the people who are kept in that victim mentality but rewarded, they are stunted. They're being cursed.
It's crazy that
being prevented from doing their work.
Right.
Because it will not last.
Well, what's crazy is that their idea of a reward is it's like, oh, if you think that's a reward, man, you should come do this. I wish I could just show you what a real reward.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing greater than waking up next to your son.
Oh, yeah.
And your wife in your home. That
security,
but not even just security,
acceptance.
Not just security, but not even in the form that like here it is, but like I worked hard for this because I knew what the other side of work looks like.
Yep.
Which makes me want to work harder.
Yeah.
Not and not for anything more than like I love the game. Well, I do. I love working. I love closing deals. I love seeing my employees buy houses and cars and have babies and raise families. I love giving them envelopes with cash in it. I fucking love that.
What I'm finding in some of these videos I'm referencing and my learning, it validates what you suspect. Like it feels good in your gut because I thought so, which is when you start to get hold of this internalizing thing and seeing the future versus being married to the past type of thing, and it's one or the other at all times. And it correlates to survival is only in the past, thrives only in the future. So that's a good way to subdivide it. And all the good things about health, you know, the weight loss, all the right ratios of hormones, that's all future forecast is now. And so keep that in mind as we break this down. The whole notion that the concept of money and all of that, it's just going to flow when you stop pursuing it. And when, and when you enjoy seeing the success in other people. And what was I going to say? The brain waves that are measurable, and like, again, Joe Dispenza is a good name drop. You can measure brain waves. So basically, he describes it as like an orgasm in your brain, not like a love chemical type, which is like it sends blood by the same means, it sends blood down there, but you can have like a feeling of such satisfaction and happiness, that type of orgasm in your heart and brain. When in stress, the heart and the brain are off music. They're incoherent. They're like if like a synchronized swim team was totally off and they just failed.
Oh, yeah.
But when they're on point like a breakdance drill team, the energy is now automatically brought within.
Well, it's like an engine runs because it's engineered to be in a cadence.
So the feeling you're describing, like the feeling beyond like our biggest sensual pleasure, which is great, but like food, sex, any of those things, those are great. But it's beyond that. So it's described as like the ultimate happiness, the ultimate bliss. Whereas you wouldn't want any external trigger that you used to have to interrupt that, because it would. It would take you out of that state, and you'd have to climb back on the horse and work hard to achieve the bliss again. You could do it, but that's what takes practice. And so it's almost like I don't want that feeling to end and that's when we've maybe in the 20 years or so past, you've heard limitless, that concept, or like higher thinking, like Joe Rogan and stuff. When I listen to some of these Dispenzas talks about getting gamma brain waves going, that's like beta stress waves, but coherent, internalized. And they're even higher frequency. So they're like, if 1,000 people were clapping in perfect sync, that's a lot of energy. Like really, and we were just on point, beyond anything you can imagine with accomplishment and like, physical, grappling, guitar, sing, anything you can think of, just being awesome in the moment. Can you imagine what that would feel like and how you wouldn't want that to end with any external trigger? You get better at saying, nope, I'm not going to let it bother me. I'm impervious. If I do, I'll get right back on with practice.
Right.
But if you have a taste of that, and that's what this future is now, talk. Like even saying, I'm thankful now. I'm not even really using future tense language anymore. Like, please bring me $1 million. Like, God, please bring me $1 million. I will be thankful when it comes. No, I'm thankful right now.
That's right. Instead of like...
And they'll say, no, you can't because it's not here. It's like, no.
That's entitlement. It's expecting the thing and then being grateful. No.
And we're saying it's a guaranteed recipe for it not to happen.
When Eli, my son, my son, 7 years old, 7.5 now, almost 7.5. When he came to this world, I saw him. I held him. Connected with him. I said, I didn't say it. It just.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. This isn't a matter of, like, I need to do. This is a matter of, like, I want to do so much for this being.
Yeah.
The
highest level.
Right. I am not even, I don't care about me.
Yeah.
Like, everything I do now is I'm implementing for him.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not the most important person anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to take care of yourself to be able to take care of them, but like you do because you want to set an example. You do because you want to provide. You know, you do because you want to educate, which is also providing. But I cannot imagine living in a world without my son.
Right. It's expanded your world.
I did great things even before he came in. And when he came, I was like, oh my fucking God.
Just amplified it.
Wow. And I love him endearingly. He's the most important thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
My wife, my son, they are why I do what I do.
It expanded it.
Yeah.
What you thought you were capable of.
Yeah. And then yeah, you can say, oh, well, Shannon, you work so much. You're away from your son. No. You don't see me. You don't see me work. You don't see what I do. Like, my son is with me.
Yeah.
He's homeschooled. We wake up together. I work right here in front of a laptop on the phone. I get up. I hang out with my son. We have lunch together. I take him. We go places. Has piano lessons right here.
Yeah.
I'm around. He has his school online. I'm around. Sari's his teacher. He's not going and learning from someone else and then coming home and then like questioning us because we're not his primary educators. Why should he listen to us when he learns from his teachers? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a different village. So
you designed it.
I designed it
deliberately this way.
Yep, deliberately this way.
Imagined it.
And then he comes to jiu-jitsu. He does jiu-jitsu. He does jiu-jitsu class. He comes to the school. He watches dad teach class. I am showing him how I live.
That's how it's done.
Not necessarily mean that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be exactly the same as I am, but he is going to see work ethic.
Yeah.
He is going to see the importance of people.
Yeah.
Diversity.
Community building.
Right, exactly. And that is more important to me than just like, oh, I have a kid, I got to go work 12 hours a day at the factory.
Well, you see it. Yeah.
Which we need factory workers, but I chose not to be away for 12 hours a day. Come home, be so tired that I don't give them my best.
Yeah. Well, I see what we're discussing tonight as a bridge for people to maximize what they get out of their current set of hours. We said it, we still have 24 hours in the day.
Yeah, everyone has the same amount of fucking time.
What are we going to do? Well, they say what you're describing is unattainable, or maybe me physically or whatever, unattainable. And we say, well, geez, you don't know the work that went into it or whatever. But in the end, we do say this, I want to have fun too. You want to have fun too. We try to leverage, so it's almost like we have twice the amount of time, depending how you look at it. You positioned yourself. It's no accident you're getting to enjoy the fruits. You designed it this way.
Right.
It's no accident. So there's good, there's not a lot of coincidences out there. Things tend to happen as we design it. And now it's the invitation to become more aware of it, so you can actually do it deliberately. Like, instead of I know I work hard, and you set it up very carefully to the letter. And,
well, there's plenty of people who work really hard, but
not very intelligently all the time.
And unfortunately, they work really hard, but they're still in the same spot because someone else is living their life for them. Yeah,
it's of course it's energy, and when we're spent, you could say, well, you can't argue that person didn't work hard, but if the results aren't there, it might not have been the smartest, the most intelligent.
Right.
And so if they're open to restructuring it just a little bit, who knows? It might seem like they're happier, that they have twice as much reserve to work with because they're doing things a different way. And they knew they had to change to get the different result they said they wanted.
Well,
so when they come to me, I have to make sure it's a must.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
And ask. I'm not going to say this in a way I'm stating it like I know it. I'm going to say this in a way I'm asking a professional.
Yeah.
If somebody who works 8 hours a day comes home and doesn't feel well and they don't give the best to their family, is it possible that they're also the same person that doesn't eat good and doesn't supplement
Yep.
and doesn't get the sleep they need?
Yeah.
So is there a good chance that somebody who works 8 hours a day at a job could come home and still have 4 solid hours to give to their family if they ate better, supplemented, and
No,
wow.
it's actually, well, it's definitely a great point.
So I'm right in that
Well,
assessment.
it's a big point because, you're a unique guy, you're a special guy, but yet you could say, well, not everybody can do what you do, but we can argue about that. It's like, well, anyone can do whatever they want, technically. But let's just say they haven't made either the most strategic decisions or for whatever reason, they're not in the position where you are right now.
Or they just don't know better. Because
They don't know better. Their paradigm's so limited. And we'll just say they're not there yet. If they have the desire, that's, of course, the first step. But yeah, how to maximize the same number of hours that you have and in person X in question has. It's like, well, certainly if they optimize their nutrition, if they get to the ideal specs physically, the clinically with blood work and all, and they get the ideal weight and, all that thing. And they do their emotional work, most importantly, to not undo all that hard work. They do go hand in hand to make it last. And to have an elevated emotional state, and get back on the horse and so on, to bring things to them and not pursue it physically, just say, oh, I want it, and actually that's repelling it and so on.
Right.
They can bring a bigger reserve because they wasted less energy during the day.
Right.
We said it's the same reservoir. It's like a gas tank. You go poke holes in it all day, it's tapped. You get home, you barely had enough to get home.
Right.
You're dog crap.
That's right.
When you get home.
And all you can do when you get home is just like, you have enough energy to sit on the couch and watch TV.
And you set it up for the same Groundhog Day hamster wheel tomorrow because
then your body and your brain realize like, oh, this is what we do.
Well,
so we're going to do this.
And when muscle memory, just like grappling, they rehearsed how to be spent and mediocre for years.
Let me ask you this.
And they will repeat that, guaranteed.
No matter what your job was for 8 hours, whether it's like some sort of physical in a factory, at a desk, in an office, or sales, if you spent 30 minutes a day exercising, would you have more energy?
Well, you would if you matched it, because again, you'd stimulate, but you'd be a little bit spent, we'll say. But the net result of exercise is huge benefits. But yeah, for the simplicity of the conversation, sake of conversation, they would be better. And assuming they're replacing it with the protein after.
So by going to work, sitting down for 8 hours and coming home and feeling tired is more likely to happen than the person who exercises 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, if they really wanted to, it's like the desire, the belief that it's possible. Because I talk to people that are like, I work graveyard, I'm a nurse, 12 hours. Like, well, you're special, but you're not that special in terms of something still can be done. I said that at the beginning. It's like I want to overlay, and so I don't want to give you any excuses.
Right.
I don't think there's anyone that couldn't do it.
So I don't want to say that not everyone, like, I don't want to use the word excuses, but I work over 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it's pretty evident that, like, one of the things I do is, in my job, is teach jiu-jitsu and exercise while working.
That's a lot.
So, like, I run a construction company, a couple.
With moving parts.
Right. And then I teach jiu-jitsu in the evenings, which is exercise. Oh. And then after I teach jiu-jitsu, I, like, live spar with my students. And I'm 40-some years old rolling with fucking 20-year-olds, and they're tough.
Yeah.
And, like, I can't do that every day, but I know that I'm better off doing that than sit in front of a computer on the phone and doing nothing in the evening.
Sharp.
Right.
Keeps it possible.
Yeah. And also, I love the fact that I have one of my jobs is helping people learn. Not just a self-defense, but, like, building a village in a community. Yeah, man.
Like, teach and show.
Yeah, teaching leaders.
Yeah.
Kids too.
No,
you know?
it's possible, and it can be the smallest thing. Because to me, that's next level to say, hey, we said small victories. Because at one point I was like an all or none type person. Like if I'm not like an hour in the weight room, it didn't count type of thing. The kind of reductionist, like, hey, I got to have so much to show for it. It's like, well, you're going to hit a wall guaranteed. Even these so-called top pros or whatever, you should see them in the off season. Everyone has ebbs and flows. I'm looking for continuity, so in a way, I go bare minimum, like without letting yourself slide. And I do that with patients to say, let's start at the absolute bare minimum.
Yeah.
With what you can do and build on those wins. We got to get some wins, even for like my dad in his late 70s or whatever. It's like he's probably down 30 or 40 just in the last couple of months. You kind of hit a wall with what you want out of the rest of your life, because you can always get more of the same if you're happy with that.
Yeah.
But then some of us don't like to hear constant, pain. And it's like, I feel, we can have compassion, but then it's like, let's help.
Let's help. Dude, it's one thing to have compassion. It's another thing to be enabling.
Yeah.
In other words,
I don't want that for you. I want better for you.
Right. Because, there's so many people. And gosh, I mean, there is another conversation that can be had about this, but there's so many people that are compassionate, but their compassion is more dangerous and detrimental.
Yeah, it's enabling.
It's enabling. And
it's misplaced.
And I'm not one that says, oh, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, because not everybody has the same opportunity. Not everybody has the same strengths. However, identify this. If you are in an area where you see a lot of adversity, a lot of negativity, you're in a bad area. You're in a bad area. I promise you that's not the end all be all.
Right.
I would rather walk into Aaron Madsen's office and get hit over the head with the truth, and thank God I did that, than to walk into a room that goes, oh, poor you. Oh, that's so terrible. Oh, and then reinforcing that. And then they stay there and they're suffering.
Yeah.
And all they have is those little verbal compliments that are nothing more than pain pills for the mind, which turn into a useless body.
Yeah. It's kind of just like, it's patronizing, like patting them on the head. It's like, this is as high as you go. This is all you're capable of, And we see that all the time in the media.
You can be constructive with people.
Like, really give me your best. Like, whatever someone's best is, that's what I want. And the effort, even no matter how long it takes, and we can define it and prorate it, like in finances. Like,
I fucking love that, Aaron.
Prorate your victory. It means,
fucking love that.
A leap for you, for my dad, or, someone elderly or whatever, or someone totally disadvantaged can still be pretty huge. Like you said, like Rogan said about somebody's afraid of a mouse or whatever. Okay, then we work on step by step.
Fucking love that, dude.
And then they're not comparing them to me anymore.
I'm
to you.
Outside of the fact that this podcast is I'm hoping to help people, is like, if I can get 10 people in your fucking office, I guarantee you 8 of them will benefit from them. Especially people who know me, trust me. They've seen what I've done. They've seen what I've come from. Like, dude, like, I don't know how to say it. I'll say it again. Like, you're a fucking amazing human being. Wow. And I like that you're able to, like, communicate with people and help them, like, the analogies. Like, you're able to describe something so complex, you're able to simplify it for them and help them understand. And that is what people need, is simplicity. Yeah. That's jujitsu. If jujitsu was hard, people would not be able to do it. It's not that hard. It's actually simple math. Yeah. And over time and like practice and repetition, you get it. And everybody has their own jiu-jitsu journey. Everybody has their own strengths. There's guard players, there's guard passers, there's this, there's that. Like, dude, I would love within the next month to see 10 people go to you.
Yeah.
And even 5 of them say, he helped me, because I know it fucking will. I know it fucking will, because I've been to numerous amounts of doctors, professionals, physicians, other naturopaths, and I now have 2 that I work with, you and Dr. Mora, who lives in Boston, right? So my 2 sources of medical let's call it my sources of medical information come from you and Dr. Mora. And occasionally I go see a fucking physician because
There's always something.
and he's in Mercer Island and I like him, but he's also a guy that told me that I don't want to get on a COVID conversation, but he's also a guy that told me the only way to treat COVID is to prevent it with the vaccine.
Yeah.
When I never got vaccinated.
Yeah.
And when I got COVID, Dr. Mora gave me ivermectin. And let's just say the day I found out I had COVID, I started taking it, and my symptoms did not get worse.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And I have friends also who
Yeah.
gave that medication too, and their symptoms did not get worse.
Yeah. Well,
And can I ask you this? Did you get vaccinated? Did you ever have COVID? Not that you know of?
I wouldn't know what to call it because I don't think the tests are at all reliable. They were generic symptoms that I've
Do
had
you
before.
take vitamin D,
Yeah.
zinc,
Yeah.
vitamin supplements? Do you eat real food?
Yep.
Do you think that you being somebody who is healthy was less likely to have suffered effects from COVID?
Exactly.
And
that's
how many patients do you have that you know had COVID and chances are they were vaccinated and were...
Plenty. And then that's becoming more commonplace, admitted, but yet maybe quietly, because that's a big deal to say, hey, you know what? The same risk factors still applied then, they still apply now, and you stood the best chance then, you stood the best chance now. And what it mainly came down to me is the ability to not be manipulated to just constant pummeling of the fear and survival and blaming, because that's what we've received nonstop.
Yeah,
It's the same old tricks.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the same old. And so it came down to, like you said about your grandma, or others just like,
Who didn't get a COVID vaccine, by the way?
exactly.
Yeah.
So that tells a lot. It's like, the same, it's like the partner that brought me here, the horse that brought me here, the same game plan in combat or in life that brought me here. Why would I change that? When you get to know yourself, your pattern, you build a strong fortress. You build a strong shell. And, of course, that keeps you solid no matter what comes down. And there's a lot of, manipulation that went on for sure and still going on.
It's still going on. And the scary thing is,
I
it's
think
still
it'll-
going on, even when COVID is like not nearly,
No.
not even a fraction of what it was.
It's just, it was,
Delta
it was a means to an end. It was a bigger picture. It wasn't about health. It was about control. So,
wow. Now you can actually see that they're utilizing it as a fucking tool.
yeah. And then nobody's really disciplined about, so who's responsible for all the loss of life and all
Right. But let me say this. It's like, like,
it was pushing it.
I have sympathy and I have empathy. I really do. But I also have this brain that just wants to have a real clear understanding of the truth, or as honest as possible. And as somebody who has been very ill and realized that what kept me ill was the indoctrination.
Yeah.
And when I went to a therapist, not a psychiatrist, a therapist who treats people not with medication, but with communication.
Yeah.
And when I went to naturopath, who try to treat people not with medication, but medication if needed, there's times for it, but with what you eat
Down the
and the
list.
supplements and like what the body really fucking needs, just getting down to the brass tacks of the truth. I felt, not only did I feel better, but it made it possible for me to raise my son.
Yeah.
It made it possible for me to like thrive in my business and build more businesses and to pursue a hobby that turned into something that pays me. And dude, if you would ask me 12 years ago, hey Shannon, where you see yourself in 10 years? I never thought in a million fucking years I'd be here. Mm-hmm. And I will do anything and everything I can to help people. Not by telling them what I think I know, but like just showing them, like, hey, this would work for me. And these are the people that help me. Mm-hmm. And this is just what I believe. And if you don't believe it, fine. Criticize me if you want, but do not interfere with the opportunity of other people that may be able to learn and benefit from what I've done, what you can offer. Mm-hmm. And I we're going to end. But before we end, I'm going to say this again. Aaron, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're
for
welcome.
taking the time to come here and spend these many hours with me selflessly. Thank you for not only, being somebody who helped save me as a human being and help me feel better, but like, dude, like sometimes I go pay the bill and I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
That's it? Like, you're not trying to get rich. Of course you're not.
Just trying to make it.
You run a business and you're happy and you're healthy, knowing that you make a living, and you run a business to like help people. Dude, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I'm going to do anything and everything I can to like, there's people out there.
I'll tell you what I've done lately, and it kind of like attention to the times, even and just for efficiency too, and with like real estate and commercial real estate, it's like, and the best format, I think, getting on to like big leaps with people in like a 12-week bit. I've been doing like coaching.
Yeah.
With like, hey, I'm going to call, say 10 people want to, I have a webinar that I made, and, they could watch it. They could basically go and get their name and email, get on my calendar, give me a call. And I kind of say, hey, kind of give them a pretty good little spiel, but it sounds quite a bit like tonight. And says, hey, over the next 12 weeks, probably a little bit beyond, if I was to talk to you once or twice a week, kind of like this, set your day straight, bottle that, do it, and habituate a better future. Like become your version of me. That's the point. Would you be interested?
Yeah, of course. And that's what I want to tell people. It's like, guys, listen,
So that's
is
the way to do it.
There is more to getting advice from a doctor for your health than just here's the prescription drug, take it.
I basically say this, a good analogy, because I start to study more like sales, and life is sales, you know that. Basically helping people make a decision that's good for them, like coaching equals sales. So life is sales.
Right.
And doing something they know they wanted to do and not let themselves down by talking themselves out of it. Like either you buy their bullshit or they listen to you to help them make a good decision. And for me, it's like, would you pay, what would it be worth to you to never have to deal with your weight issue again, or your hormone imbalances again, or your autoimmune disease again? What would it be worth to you? Basically, maybe 1% of what your house costs or something. Would that be?
No, let me say this.
That type of thing.
You're right. Absolutely. Do you know that there's people that don't even realize that at some point in their life, they would give everything to have 5 more years?
Yeah.
There are people that would give anything and everything that they have ever fucking accumulated, earned, saved to live 5 more years, feeling good enough to just see their grandchildren have birthday parties, to watch them walk down the aisle of the graduation, to watch them walk down the aisle as they get married. There are people that are worth millions and millions and millions of fucking dollars that would write a check, would shave 20 years of their past in financial fucking freedom to give a year to do that. And healthy comes before wealthy.
I'll say this. I feel like if I can't say I'm confident that I can do that at this stage, I never can. I'm extremely confident that I, can help people recreate what I've done. And that's all medicine is. It's life adjustments. It's not a bunch of trickery and pill popping and see you in 6 months or see you never again. It's kind of high touch, kind of hit the ground running, but it's very overlaid, so it's not disruptive. The way I'm starting to do it now, and it's more convenient. We get on the phones or whatever, and it's high impact. So,
dude, it's great that you can have somebody walk into your office.
I'm working with people from different states now too.
So, I know.
Yeah.
Dude, you're on the next level. And I don't even know how to express that to people. You're on such a next level that most people wouldn't even understand. But once they get into your office and talk to you, you can help them understand it. And that's the crazy thing is, like, I guess I'm biased because you do jujitsu, I do jujitsu, right? But, dude, all biasness aside, there's nothing I can't think of anything that you don't know about, like macronutrients, diet, but not even just that, but the way you think, the way you talk to yourself, the people you're around. Getting away from toxic people alone can add years to your life.
No, I know it does.
And people don't even realize that. And the foods that you eat in the morning versus the foods that you used to eat can add years to your life. And people don't even realize that, Aaron.
Well, I know. So that's why I kind of do the reverse engineering or reverse psychology. Like, so
yes!
you'd be nuts not to work with me type of thing. And but at the same time, the abundance model says, I don't need you. You need me more than I need you. But
I'm here to help you.
I would love to help you.
Yes.
I would love to have you.
Yes.
I'm good either way.
Yes.
But there's life to be lived. There's years to be added to your docket. Let's get it.
And then let's pretend like there's not more years to be added.
Or more
let's
quality.
pretend like there is a time where your punch card is going to be, your clock is going to be punched. But don't you want to make those years the best and feel good? I don't want to be living my life in pain, in agony, with no energy.
We'll say quality.
Going to doctor appointment after doctor appointment. I'd rather live those fucking years feeling good.
Yeah.
Being able to have the energy to show my son what it's like, you know, to live for others, what it's like to be a leader, what it's like to be happy. Not going, where's happiness? Where happiness? No, you're not going to find it that way. Just do. Just be, have purpose in happiness. That is happiness.
So what I did is I made one little hoop to jump through, and I like it because people, it's like, hey, if you look at my like 30-minute little webinar, and watching this is like a deep dive, but at the end of it, there's put your name and email and get on my calendar. If they're willing to do that, I know they're interested.
Yes.
So I can give you that website, and they can go.
All of that. As a matter of fact, let's do that right now. First of all, Aaron, your practice, your name and your practice.
Yep. So for years we've been Madsen Medical Spa.
Madsen, M-A-D-S-E-N.
Yep.
Madsen Medical Spa.
Yep.
Okay.
So we've done, we've got skincare services. We have, basically things we talked about tonight, kind of lifestyle management. But it's gone more virtual. So I don't have a big social media whatsoever, but I have Facebook's at Madsen Med Spa, Instagram at Madsen Med Spa, just a few videos, nothing big. I don't do a lot of posts. The main thing is I have a webinar, and so a generic little name that kind of sums up how we do it is Healthy Habits Workshop.
Healthy Habits Workshop. And then
.com.
I heard of you word of mouth, and a lot of people know you word of mouth. I refer you word of mouth, and that's great. However, like I feel like
I want to scale it. I want to be virtual.
I feel like that you have something to offer.
There's only so much time in the day, or so much me repeating it. So people tend to like me calling them, and I've got a little bit of help. So there's kind of a little collaboration, kind of a conference call, and people get to it. I see some things in your kitchen, some things in my kitchen that I recognize,
Oh yeah, there's stuff over there that you,
But I mean, like how you lay it out, you know, like you kind of have a staging area.
Yeah.
Everyone ends up kind of crafting their staging area, so their routine takes shape.
Aaron, I cannot explain the satisfaction of when people come to me and say, hey, Shannon, what's your cocktail? For instance, my superintendent, whose name is Aaron, by the way, he's 50 years old. Like, he was going through some health problems, dude. He was feeling like shit. He was like, man, I got to go to the doctor. I got to get a scope up my butt. I might have cancer. Yeah. He's like, I feel like shit. Yeah. And I was like, and I love this guy. I've known him 18 years. He's one of my best friends. I was like, Aaron, dude, stop. Hold on. Like, do all that. Clear yourself of all of that fear. Yeah. But will you try something? He's like, bro, I'm willing to do anything. I was like, I'm going to give you my cocktail. I took my vitamins and I put them in 7 baggies, little Ziploc bags. Yeah, yeah. And I say, Aaron, here you go. Take these.
Yeah, yeah.
Call me in a week. Shannon, what the fuck? I feel amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm like, Aaron, it's not drugs.
Yeah.
He was like, please help me. And so I bought everything. I got online, whatever. You tell me, he's like, dude, just go get them. I don't care how you get them. Just go get them, but get this brand. Pure encapsulation, good brand, right? Mm-hmm. Now, and I bought them, give them to him. Dude, he is in disbelief 50 years old. He is in disbelief
Never
that
done
he
it.
could feel that good.
Yeah.
And it's like vitamin D, curcumin, lysine, NAC,
Yeah.
DHEA, which I gave him the disclaimer on, right? Men in their 40s, DHEA
Yeah.
helps with testosterone. Like, bro, there's nothing wrong with having a little extra testosterone because
Yeah.
it's one of the chemicals that helps us do what we do.
Yeah.
And he's a changed man.
Oh yeah.
No pharmaceuticals, not even exercise. Although he exercises,
that'll
and his
come.
job is active. He moves. He works. Like that cocktail, may have very well saved his fucking life, dude.
Yeah. I believe it.
Yeah. So, anyways, again, Madsen Medical Spa. One of the guys that's helped me. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine my life without
Yeah.
what you've done for me.
Well,
And-
people that are ready for some change, they believe in a better daily schedule for themselves. They kind of at
Yeah,
a point where they want to do something.
yeah, some exercise,
Yeah.
some supplements, some self-talk,
Yeah.
just rewiring the way you think,
we cover
getting
it.
away from bad people,
Remodel your day, and so
remodel your day.
come and it's been a good system so far. Just communication. It's what a concept,
100%.
but it's what we can help you redesign your day to look like. Sound a little bit like what we talked with tonight.
And what we talked about tonight is a fraction.
Yeah, it's like kind of a flavor of what we dive into, the way to look at things. So
I love it. Aaron, thank you.
you're welcome, brother.
so much.
Thank you. It's an awesome pleasure.
Thank you.